out the signals for the Baltimore Colts. Unitas gives to Amici. The Colts are the world champions. Amici scores.
The most amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football. California won the big game.
5 seconds left in the game. Do you believe in miracles? Yes. Unbelievable.
This is Phil Steele.
This is Mike Burnham.
This is Wes Durham.
This is Mike Ashley.
Hi, this is Chuck Foreman, number 44 of the Minnesota Vikings.
Woo, mercy, this is handsome Jimmy Vane, the Boogie Woogie Man.
This is Coach Fry with Virginia Tech Football, and you are listening to Big Dog Sports Talk.
Are you ready to rock? Are you ready to roll? Okay, let's do it.
You're in the doghouse with Rick Watson on Big Dog Sports Talk, presented by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Join us in the Family Fencing Studios and chime in on the McClellan Chiropractic chat line. He's keeping cool with help from Little River Heating and Air, but this show is straight fire. And now, the big dog, Rick Watson.
Rick Watson's got the mic, he's the big dog king. Cover sports so sharp, it's a New River thing. Virginia Tech fire, rapid pride too. Every stat, every play, he's bringing it to you. He's got that voice, deep as a valley, breaking it down, no dilly, no dally. Big dog sports talk, feel the bark, feel the bite. Rick's in the zone, every day, every night, from the Hokies to the Highlanders. He's got the spark, Big dog sports talk, lighten up the dark. He's got the scoop, faster than a sprint. Calling plays like a coach, every word's a hint. From the courts to the fields, the stories unfold. Rick's play-by-play, worth its weight in gold. With a laugh and a growl, he'll pull you in. Big Dog's podcast, let the games begin. Big Dog Sports Talk, feel the bark, feel the bite. Rick's in the zone, every day, every night, from the Hokies to the Highlanders. He's got the spark, Big Dog Sports Talk, lighten up the dark. Sports talk, feel the bark, feel the bite. Rick's in the zone, every day, every night, from the Hokies to the Highlanders. He's got the spark, Big Dog Sports Talk, lighten up the dark. Big Dog Sports Talk, feel the bark, feel the bite. Rick's in the zone, every day, every night, from the Hokies to the Highlanders. He's got the spark, Big Dog Sports Talk, lighten up the dark.
Well, welcome to Hump-Day Wednesday, where it feels like a Monday because we just had a power blip here. Even Henry the Camel was a little thrown by it. So hopefully we're good. I've been frantically checking settings here, and we're trying to get things all worked out. So hopefully we're okay. Good Lord. Came out of nowhere. What's going on, everybody? Good morning. Hopefully we're okay now. What's up, Thunder? What's up, Chris Lester? What's up, Vic? I think we're good. Keon Brown joins us coming up. Then Damian Sordelette, Coach Elmo, and then Todd Grantham, the coach. So we got great stuff here on a Wednesday. So you're sitting around, you go all morning, and you're prepping, doing the show. You have everything set up, ready to go. And then at 5:59, we get the dreaded 3 to 5 second power blip. Everything went off in the house for no reason. And then it comes right back on. And, of course, that knocks everything offline. And I think we're okay. So then you're frantically resetting everything. You have to wait for the internet to come back. And it did. It did. So all those things are very, very good. So we got a lot going on today, a lot of good stuff going on today here on the program. And we're glad to have you with us as we rock and roll. What's going on, T-Bird? Yeah, we really are. We really, really are. Okay, yeah, everything looks good here. We got levels. So if it happens again, I'll just tell you now, if you see all of a sudden everything disappeared, just know that the same thing happened. And I will do the best I can. Look at that. It's kind of funky. I will do the best I can to get back online as quickly as possible. I just ask for your patience if that happens again. Some things are completely out of my control. I want to thank Family Fencing, sponsor of our studios here in Reiner. Get a free quote at 540-200-8294. McClellan Chiropractic, sponsor of our chat room. Thanks to Mark Hunley. Appreciate him. We're presented each and every day by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Little River Heating and Air, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg, 540-553-2971. The attorney, Ryan Pryor, BDST fan question of the week, 701 West Main Street in Radford. We're asking the best way to prepare steak and hamburger, specifically, coming off Memorial Day. National Bank member FDIC, the exclusive banking partner of me and of this program. Our text line sponsor, Professional Door Incorporated, residential commercial garage doors in business for 38 years. Text line is always open for you, 391-0788. ReadySetFund.com. That is Bob Christ, BOBCRST11 at Gmail. Reach out, find out how your school group organization can earn money very, very quickly. Sundown Electric, one of the best reputations, a long list of satisfied clients, cheap costs as much as possible. Full communication. Reach out to the Smith brothers at Sundown. The NRV Super Bowl. We have Midnight Madness. They're going to be doing stuff all weekend. You need to book 540-382-5525. They've been around for 25 years here in the community. And Lawson's Mobile Home Supply since 1997. Give James a call, 540-381-8011. Parts for your windows, your plumbing, all sorts of things around the house. 300 North Franklin Street in Christiansburg. And thanks to Brandon at Top Shelf Apparel. If you ever want a T-shirt, hit me up and let me know. So I like to give us an attaboy from time to time. Because, if I don't, who the hell's going to? But everything we've talked about with collegiate athletics yesterday, it's funny to watch the SEC meetings. Because Brett McMurphy, he's a really good reporter, and he understands what's going on in college athletics. And some of the things that came out yesterday in the SEC meetings are pretty funny. What it feels like to me, it feels like this is a conference that understands that it might be losing its punch just a little bit. In other words, the Big Ten's kind of surpassed it in many, many different ways. So it's almost like Greg Sankey, and I think I'm going to write about it this week for the Patriot. It almost just feels like they understand that the Big Ten has surpassed them, at least on the field. especially with the record revenue sharing. By the way, did you know that next year when the Big 12's TV deal kicks in, the ACC is going to be by far the least financially stable conference of the Big Four by about $20 million. Problems, lots of problems. But some of the comments yesterday, particularly from the Georgia contingent at the SEC meetings, the president, Jerry Moorhead, on the state of college athletics, we're close to anarchy. Anarchy! Time is running out on us. What have we accomplished in the last year? Nothing. Absolutely no progress. I'd say we're in a worse position than we were a year ago, and that's very concerning to me. This is a president of the school. SEC president of the school, you have little choice but to be pretty much involved with everything in terms of college football. We've been talking about the new presidential hire in Blacksburg. So the SEC's firing the alarm sirens. And then you had Kirby Smart, which I posted on the Facebook page, saying, hey, you know what? If we need to break away, then by God, we're going to break away. He goes, I've been a huge advocate. If we can't find rules that everybody can play by, then we should play on our own, we being the SEC. I'm not afraid of that. I am not afraid to break away all by ourselves. Now, I don't know what that will mean. I can't believe the SEC. We've been talking about this breaking away from the NCAA. But boy, the SEC putting some shots in the air yesterday. Interesting. Very, very interesting. And then, of course, as predicted, every ESPN employee shooting down the 2014 playoff. Yesterday, it was Paul Feinenbaum who came out and, oh, what a horrible idea. This is the same guy who was he said he felt so wrong about his political aspirations. He was going to run for Congress, Senate or something. I don't know. Governor. He was going to make some political office. And because his politics differ from Disney, they said, well, you can run, but you're going to lose your job. So he decided not to run to keep his job at Disney. So really anything he has to say going forward, not that he had a lot of credibility to begin with, just shut up. Talking about how bad it is. So everyone, it's 100% down the line. Everybody who works at ESPN shooting down the 2014 playoff. Yep. It's unbelievable. And now I don't know, the SEC's throwing all this stuff out there. They obviously have no solutions on their own either. Greg Sankey has been very pompous over the years. He has been the undisputed leader of the college athletics free world, right? No longer the case. I think Tony Petitti and the Big Ten have kind of just sailed right on by. And it's just like, the episode of Seinfeld where George had hand with the piano player, and then she found out that he lied to her and he lost all of his hand, and then he had no pull anymore. It's kind of feels like the SEC's desperately trying not to become George Costanza. That's what it feels like. It's very interesting. Very, very interesting. So we will see how the next few days unfold. Grab your popcorn. They did not talk much about the 2014 playoff. Apparently, there's so much dissension between their own ranks. They're trying to just reel everybody in. From the blue waters of the Chesapeake Bay to the hills of Tennessee, does anyone have a clue where Bill Roth might be? BDST is live and online. Yeah, I know exactly where Bill is. He's in Florida at his beach house. I know 100% where Bill is, where he spends every summer. And he won't be back until we get closer to August. We'll have Bill on again here soon. But But it's interesting, huh? So the SEC is complaining about rules and those breaking them, including themselves, the rules that they helped set. It's just, if it wasn't so pathetic, it would be humorous. If it didn't affect everything so badly, it would be funny to see them circling around, chasing their own tail at this point. It's not college sports anymore. This is all just what it is. You're having the transfer. You're having a complete transition from the college model that's gone forever to professional sports, and you're still seeing some resistance. The people who still want to try to act like this is not going to change, doesn't need to change. We can still be caught. Just stop. It has been professional sports for a long time, and now it's all about business moving forward, which is what the whole 2014 playoff is. It's what all this is about. The desire for money, not only the desire, but what has become the necessity to try to earn as many dollars as you can to pay all these players in football and men's basketball particularly, has completely shrouded and blinded the overall picture of what we used to think was the college, or actually was the college athletics model. Schools are in debt. We've been talking about the universities, not even athletic departments. Players can commit to your school and then leave the next year. You can pay them whatever, and then they get a better offer. They're out of there. We're having guys go through college 4 or 5 different stops along the way. I am 100% sure, T-Bird, that Bill likes Gator Bites. But you see, the SEC is the one who really kind of molded this current model into place, yet here they are acting as if they're victims. And whenever you willingly jump into the role of being a victim when you're not, it means you don't have any substance on the other side. Hey, we're going to make ourselves out to be victims. We need your sympathy. You need to hear what we're saying. They don't like to see that the Big Ten is not only competing with them financially, but surpassing them in many ways. They don't like the fact that the Big Ten's won the last 3 national football championships. They can't handle that. Their record last year was abysmal. Their reputation has taken a huge hit. And they're stomping their feet, and they don't like it at all. They just don't like it. They can't stand it. But they're the ones who set the standard when they thought they would never be caught. We're teamed with Disney and ESPN. We're a runaway train. Well, no, you're not. Not in any way, shape, or form are you a runaway train. Morris says, I'm sorry, but not much empathy for the SEC coming from me. No, not at all. 0. They have ruled college football too long. We need some adults to get control. Well, I don't think it's going to happen. When you have a college president like that at Georgia making these comments, I mean, again, the presidents are at these meetings as well. And it's the one thing that concerns me a little bit with the Virginia Tech setup. They're going to have the AD in place, and then here comes the president. He's going to kind of be chasing his tail a little bit, getting caught up to what's going on in athletics. And maybe that won't be a big deal. Who knows? But what is very interesting to me is they looked very nervous yesterday. I was kind of watching some of the clips. Everybody who got up there and spoke, even Kirby, we're just going to break away. If we don't get our way, we're just going to break away. That's the way it came across to me. And then, by the way, this is what's rich, too. He gets up there, and you tell me if your BS meter rises when you hear a guy who's making $15 million to coach freaking football say, well, we're so concerned about the other sports. What concerns me are all the other sports that we might be affecting. Does anybody for 1 second believe that at all? I mean, this is a guy who has no problem signing the contract. Hey, man, 15 mil. And you know what? That's before incentives. By the way, no matter what anybody else makes, you're going to be guaranteed to make the highest end of any salary of any head coach. And this isn't an argument that whether he's earned it or not. I'm just saying the bottom line is if he was really that concerned, he's making $15 million a year. I bet he's not so concerned to take $1 out of his contract. The insincerity of all that, to me, I was just laughing. I just started giggling. Just like, sure you are, Kirby. Kirby doesn't even know what other programs Georgia has. Oh, we have basketball, right? Do we have volleyball? We do? Okay. Soccer? Well, I'm really concerned for those sports. It's almost like a politician who's been caught red-handed doing something that they shouldn't, blaming everybody else, threatening to pick up your ball and go home, much like Notre Dame did. But, hey, they're concerned about all these other sports. You better believe it. When Kirby says it, you know, guy making $15 million a year, which is more than probably many of the budgets of some of those sports in terms of travel and food, you know that guy really means what he's saying. Can we just stop? Just stop. Just get up there and say it the way it is. You created this along with ESPN. You were all part of this, SEC. And now, to show you that Greg Sankey is losing his grasp on being a credible leader, look at all of the dissension amongst even the ADs and presidents in his own league, which he did admit heading into these meetings on Monday. We've got people on both sides of the fence. We have to kind of get in a room and figure out the temperature where we're headed. In other words, how did this happen? He has no idea. Yeah, Kirby is by far the highest paid state employee. That's usually the case, especially in SEC country. If you ain't a Gator, you must be a Gator bait. 2 bits, 4 bits, 6 bits, $1, all for the Gator. Stand up and holler. Wow, just craziness. Just craziness. Is Prometheus okay? We didn't have. I just realized Prometheus wasn't in here yesterday, and he's not in here today. Morris, you need to reach out to Prometheus. Make sure he's all right. I know his wife was not doing well or was sick, right? She was going through surgery or something. So I hope everything's okay with Prometheus. But it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny to see the SEC. Make these comments, and Kirby Smart. Crazy. So many people, I'm looking at some of the comments after what Kirby said. There's basically, so now you don't like the competition of the Big Ten, and you're afraid now that someone has stood up to you that you can't handle it. That's basically what people are saying. Thursday, okay. So, yeah, let me update tomorrow. So tomorrow, I'm going to be over at Warm Hearth with the Montgomery County Chamber and with James Franklin. So that starts at 8. So we will do the first hour of the show tomorrow. How's that? I'm going to jump on from 6 to 7. And then I'll have to head to Warm Hearth because I'm not even really sure how to get there. So we're going to do that. But, yeah, tomorrow I'll be hanging out with James Franklin, and we'll do that. So tomorrow an hour, and then we'll adjust accordingly as we need to. So there you go. That'll be what we do tomorrow. That'll be tomorrow. So, and maybe we'll get some film. Maybe we'll get footage of that and we can show it. I don't know. Hell, I don't know. Keon Brown joining us on the program right now, our basketball and, well, everything extraordinaire. What's up, KB? Good morning, brother.
Rick Watson, what's going on, bro? How you doing, man?
How are you? I know I know how you are. You got one more day, right? Two
One
more
more
days?
day. That's it. I can't wait. Come on now. We made it.
How,
we made it.
How has the movie time gone, right? It was going to be movies leading up to
it's
the
been
end?
movies all day since last Friday.
Yeah? What's been on the docket? I know Space Jam 2 was there.
Of course. We had Remember the Titans. That's a classic.
Okay.
We had Heavyweights. We had Ben Stiller Day. Some of the stuff I'm not sure if I was able to play in class, but I played it anyway. Ben Stiller is one of my favorite people in the world. Like, if you ask me if I could have dinner with 5 people, one of them would be Ben Stiller.
Really?
Absolutely. Meet the Parents. Oh, my goodness. I can't get enough of Meet the Parents. Heavyweights. Oh, my goodness. A lot of people don't know about Heavyweights, which shocks me. You know about Heavyweights?
No.
So Heavyweights was a movie. It came out, I think, in 95. It was a Disney movie that shouldn't have been a Disney movie. It was about kids going to fat camp. And typically at the fat camp, all they do is eat snacks and have a good time, trying to lose weight. But all they do is eat snacks.
Well.
So Ben Stiller is the guy who's a fitness guru, and he ends up buying the camp and making the kids actually work out. That's all I'll say.
Really?
Oh, it's a classic. Oh, man. You gotta watch it. It's on Disney Plus now. It's called Heavyweights. I mean, I don't know how Disney approved that one, but hey, it's here.
Okay. All right. Well, to each their own. I've never been a huge Ben Stiller guy.
Oh,
okay.
Man. Oh,
yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
The new Meet the Parents comes out November, December. I can't wait, dude.
Okay. All right. Well,
I'm anticipating it just like Michael. I can't wait.
It's probably not going to be very good. But
I mean, if you make a 4th movie, that means it's high demand.
Right? Or that means you're fresh out of ideas and you can't get other roles.
Now, I don't know. Robert De Niro. Come on, man. Everybody loves Robert De Niro.
Not until they open their mouths politically, then you don't like them anymore.
Man, I ain't got time for it.
They just need to keep their mouths shut. If they kept their mouths shut,
I don't do that.
I know.
I cannot stand politics.
Those two guys love to talk about it. They love to talk about it. But anyway. Well, all right, man. So good. Congratulations. You're going to be done. But then don't you go through summer? Don't you?
I just got a week off. Then summer school starts right up for me. So I'll be done Thursday. All the teachers have to report Friday for about an hour or two. And then I'll be off for a week. And then I start summer school. Summer school is from June whatever to July 2nd. So It's a month. It's 16 days. And it's manageable. Summer school isn't as long as regular school, so I think I'm there from about 7:45 to 12:45, which isn't bad as all.
Yeah.
So we're good, man.
Yeah, you can hang on to that. Yeah. Well, let's get into the NBA Finals. Looks like the Knicks are going to be playing.
Yeah,
we'll find out. But a big comeback by the defending champs, right? I guess showing you they do have a little bit of heart.
Yeah.
Right. After all.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think we're in a situation where it's going to be 7 for the Western Conference title. It's going 7. Tomorrow, the Spurs will blow out OKC or win comfortably. And then if tomorrow's Thursday, so that means Game 7 will be Saturday. And it's going to be a classic. I can see it. And I think San Antonio is going to pull it off. I really do. Wembanyama did not have a great game yesterday. He only had about 5 or 6 rebounds. Stephon Castle had costly turnovers. They were never really out of the game, but Oklahoma City did have a comfortable lead at the end, and they just went on cruise control to close it out every time San Antonio tried to make a run. But that's how the playoff series go. It's back and forth, and I think that OKC obviously have the momentum right now. The Spurs' backs are against the ropes, but they do get to play at home tomorrow, and they're going to tie the series up. Saturday is going to be a toss-up. Who's who? It's a pick-em game at that point, but I got the Spurs. I think Victor Wembanyama is so far above the rest of the talent in the NBA that he's the best player in the NBA, that he's just going to prevail. It's going to be his signature win in his young career so far. I see the Spurs. I see the Knicks, another 1999 Finals rematch.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. And the Knicks are so hot right now that nobody wants to see the Knicks right now, the way that they're playing basketball. I mean, this is ridiculous how good they are right now. They have the best starting lineup in the NBA. They have guys who know each other very well, obviously playing in college together. Karl Anthony Towns has played at another level this year. OG Anunoby understands his role. Jalen Brunson might be a top 10 player in the NBA right now. Michael Bridges has come on. Josh Hart is a do-it-all type of guy. Mitchell Robinson off the bench. Landry Shamet off of the bench. That is a really good team in New York right now, and they might have everything they need to win the championship. They really might.
Do you think Cleveland threw that series? I've seen a lot of people throw accusations after they got down 2-0. They just stopped. The guys just said, we're going to go ahead and lose in 4 to get the season over with.
Well, I can see that happening. It's like, wow, we're going back to New York just to get blown out there. But at the same time, I don't think so. I think guys are too competitive, especially a guy like Donovan Mitchell. You saw he left it all out there in that game 4, but New York was just the better team. They haven't lost a game in over a month. When they lost, I think it was at game 4 to Atlanta when the series was tied 2-2. And then they just went and started blowing every single team that they've played out. It's been really fun to watch, honestly. Even though you're winning by 40 and 50 and 30 to close out a series, it's still fun to watch because of how hot and how they're doing it. It's not like Jalen Brunson's just averaging 40. It's everybody. It's offense by committee, defense by committee. Mike Brown's doing an awesome job. And that's why they're in the NBA Finals for the first time since 99.
Yeah, Mike Brown kind of got a raw deal, didn't he? I mean, he's a good coach.
He's a really good coach.
He's a good coach. He's a good coach.
Yeah. When he was in Sacramento, he was really good. They almost beat that Warrior team that went on to win the NBA. No, to the defending Warrior championship.
Yeah.
Just lost in 7 to an explosive Steph Curry. Obviously, in 2007, just about 2 decades ago, when he had a young 22-year-old LeBron, he led those guys to the finals. You just play against one of the best teams in history. It was Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, Tim Duncan, Bruce Bowen, that squad. You knew you weren't going to win that one, but he's done a phenomenal job with this New York squad, and that's why they have a week off until the finals start. They'll be well rested. The game plan will be ready because they're preparing for both teams, and they're going to be ready, even though they're going to be the underdog starting on the road next Wednesday.
Yeah, I think the fact the Knicks are there has to thrill the NBA. Finally have the New York team back in the finals, so the ratings could be pretty good regardless. I think either one, it'd probably be better if San Antonio wins, but I think there's enough there with the 2-time MVP. If OKC advances, then I think the ratings will actually probably be up a little bit.
No, you're right. And did you see the ticket prices for the courtside seats in Madison Square Garden?
I don't understand how
God. Are you kidding me?
I don't understand.
Are you kidding me? For one game, $600,000 pretty much.
So those are basically just for the mega elite. I mean, that's the only reason you put price tags like that on.
That is insane. That's the same thing. You talk about the Lakers. So this is what I did this past weekend. I watched an old Shaq and Kobe's Laker game from the 2000 NBA Finals when they played against the Philadelphia 76ers. The Staples Center was so loud. It was one of the biggest home courts advantages in the NBA. Hey, mama. It was one of the biggest. I don't know if you heard that. It was one of the biggest. It was one of the biggest home courts advantages in the NBA.
Yeah.
So now you fast forward to 2026 when the Lakers play in the Oklahoma City Thunder. They have one of the worst home court advantages in the NBA. It's just not the same, and it's because these ticket prices are just out of control, and you're purchasing out the real fans. Those guys can't afford it. You're buying those guys out. It's for the who's who, like you just said. You look at the Lakers game and who's in that front row, it's a lot of A-list guys. It's the Denzel Washingtons, the Leonardo DiCaprios, the Kardashians are there. And then you look in New York, it's always the Fat Joes, the Ben Stillers, the Tracy Morgans, the Spike Lees, the guys who are able to do it. I would love for an opportunity for real fans.
I know.
Who have just been there through and through the good times and the bad. And there's been a lot of bad for the Knicks to be able to attend some of those games, but it ain't happening. To get in the nosebleeds is probably going to be in the upper 800s. So
Right. Yeah, just to get a normal regular seat. I don't get it, man.
Yeah.
It's kind of what's happening in the NBA over the years. Why it's, held in such low esteem. They've forgotten about the fans for the most part.
That's what it is, man. You don't get us started again with the streaming. How many times you got to look online to see which service the game is going to be on? Is it going to be on ABC? Is it going to be on ESPN? Is it going to be on Prime? Is it going to be on Peacock? Like, come on now. I never know what channel the game is going to be on.
I know.
Never.
I know. The NFL's getting there. You got to have
absolutely.
seven different services if you want to watch the games next year.
Yeah, man, it's going to be ridiculous.
This coming
Prime,
season.
Fox, CBS, you name it, Peacock, Netflix. It's going to be ridiculous, man.
Remember when we were told streaming was going to make things easier for fans? Remember that? Oh, this is going to be great. How convenient. No, now you got to buy all this stuff just to watch a season.
Absolutely. It's ridiculous.
Such a racket.
Yeah, cable's out of the door because of this stream. It is what it is, but it's so unfortunate for us. But like a fool, I got to buy it all, especially during college basketball time.
You're not missing college basketball. This I know. Well, where's college basketball? It's on Fox, ESPN. Where else?
So you got to have FS1, FS2,
FS. There we go.
ESPN2. Yep. You got to have NBC now. It's on Peacock now. It's everywhere too. The Pac-12 network is coming back. You got the SEC network. You got the Big Ten network. It's pretty much the same, man. It's pretty much the same.
Yeah, a Knicks fan. By the way, congratulations. You've been around for a while. He's not new. He's been a Knicks fan a long time.
Yeah. I mean, it's like when you, as a Commanders fan, you can't lie. You can't lie about being like when you say that.
You can't. Yeah.
Like, you can't make it up. You can't.
Yeah, people know you're like, wow, you're not lying. No. What about SGA and his flopping? I see it is the most embarrassing thing from a guy who's such a great scorer to do what he does. They put together a compilation of his flops. You're just like, that's the 2-time MVP? Why does someone get that in their head? And why is so many times, I guess he's given the call that he feels like he can just keep doing it over and over again?
Well, it's from the book of James Harden. I think Manu Ginobili started it from Europe. That's a real thing. When I was over in Europe, they did it all the time.
Did they when you played against them?
Absolutely. Oh, man. It was bad over there, but the refs were drinking alcohol at halftime, so they fell for it every time. And then he brought that over here, and then James Harden took it to another level. Now everybody's trying to do it. I mean, I think James Harden is the guy that really got it mainstream and really put it in a situation where he's just looking to flail somehow, some way. That year he won MVP. Oh, man. When he averaged about 36 points, so many flops. It's crazy.
Did refs do that when you ever see they were?
Oh, absolutely. My teammates did it. That's a real thing. Like when Luka when the Mavericks won the Western Conference Finals, and he had that beer in his hand, everybody over here was shocked. But if you know anything about overseas basketball, it was like another day at the park for you. My teammates had just 40 ounces, just chugging them, taking them to the head out. We had a guy on my team when I was in Spain. Yeah. He was one of the best players in the history of that country. He's a guy that played on the Olympic team, all of that. His name was Nacho Romero. He was 7 foot tall, skinny guy, long beard, about almost 50 years old, still playing, still good, just shooting threes, nothing but net. It was amazing. This guy has a pack of cigs at halftime, just letting them go with a 40. I was like, I remember the first time I saw it, I was so shocked. I couldn't stop staring.
Then the second half, he goes out and gets 20 and 10,
That's
right?
Yeah. Like basketball was just another thing for him at that point. He was so well respected. We could go nowhere without somebody approaching him. That's how famous he was. Nacho Romero. That's a real guy.
James Harden is going to go in the Hall of Fame, but he's not ever going to win a championship, is he? There's a difference between being a good player and being a winning player, right? He's not. He's not ever going to win a title, is he? James
The only chance he has of winning a title is if he takes that old Gary Payton role when he played with Miami back in 2006 when he was
the eighth man.
There you go. The ninth guy off the bench. Give us 15 good minutes a night. That's all we need from you, right?
Here's your ring. Here's your ring.
There you go. Play hard for 15 minutes. That's the only way he's going to win a ring. And he's about to get an extension from Cleveland. You don't trade for a guy in the middle of the season the way that Cleveland traded for James Harden and just going to let him go for nothing.
Well, that's a good point. That's a
they're going to sign him back to at least a 2-year deal.
Yeah.
And he's getting old, man. He's like 37, 38. These guys that we are used to seeing, I know it's hard to believe, but these guys are on their way out the door. The LeBrons, he's one of one. Nobody's ever seen that. Kevin Durant's getting up there. Steph Curry's getting up there. James Harden. These guys are on the way out, and it's a young man's league now. Now it's the Wimbayambas, the SGAs, the Lucas, the Cade Cunninghams. It's their league. It's their world. We just live in it.
Yeah, it is the generation, and this draft could add some more guys to
Oh,
that.
yeah.
So we'll have to wait
Yeah,
and
man.
see. But it's interesting. It is interesting. Well, we'll see how it plays out. I hope it ends up being something I can get into. If it goes Game 7, I am going to make a point to watch Game 7.
Of course you have to, but like you said, we really want the Spurs and Knicks.
That would be the best. Yeah, that would be the most intriguing, wouldn't it?
It's the most exciting too, because the OKC Thunder, for as good as they are, they're not an exciting team to watch.
I don't like to watch SGA. I don't like to watch him.
Hey, I get it. It's not exciting for the fans at all. I mean, I love basketball, so obviously I can appreciate it. But at the same time, for a guy just wanting to watch the NBA, OKC is as boring as that old Tim Duncan-led Spurs team.
They are kind of hard. The Spurs were boring. They were great, but they were just kind of
exactly. It all depended on who they played against.
Yeah,
and luckily, if OKC makes it to the finals, you get to play against a team that's really exciting to watch in New York. So that kind of levels it off. But you really want the two best teams that you can possibly have for entertainment purposes, and that's definitely the San Antonio Spurs and Knicks.
It's weird because you know how Tim Duncan was as a player, and he had the tight haircut. Now he's got the long hair.
Yeah, he's letting it all out.
It kind of throws me a little bit. That's Tim Duncan.
Yeah, yeah.
They called him up for
like he smokes a pound of that good stuff every day.
That's what I was going to say. They showed him up there in the the catbird seat with Popovich, and they were smoking. They were getting high during the game.
Yeah, I imagine. Of course they are.
What do you think, by the way? Let's just touch gears about some college sports things.
Yeah,
the SEC is having their meetings, and they're kind of stomping their feet a little bit, and I think they fear that they're losing a little bit of their power. Just feels that way to me. The latest on college athletics from these folks anyway yesterday is there's no hope. Nobody's going to grab the reins. Have you just kind of settled in now? I kind of have.
Grab the reins as far as any rules for the players and just letting it be the Wild Wild West?
Yeah. It's not going to change. You can tell that they know it's not going to change anytime soon. You can just by the way they're acting in their meetings yesterday.
Well, I hate that. I really do, because at the end of the day, if that's the case, and I continuously see schools and players that I've been at 4 universities in 4 years, I cannot stand that. I really can't. And it's an easy fix, right? You can't really contain the beast 100% of the way, but there is something you can do. Put those guys on 2-year scholarships. If you transfer in conference, do what you used to do. You got to sit out a year. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you transfer out of conference, you're good to go. And if you try to transfer a second time, you might have to sit out a year. There's ways around it to stop the bleeding a bit. And nothing's going to be perfect at this point. But we got to figure out a way to do something. Because college basketball, for a lot of these schools, a lot of these teams are mockeries right now. I don't know if you've been following what Will Wade's doing it at LSU. But, man, this guy's getting NBA players to commit to his squad. He's getting 27-year-old EuroLeague guys to commit to LSU to come play this year. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, and the crazy part is if there's no rules, he feels like it's okay. But sometimes there should be unwritten rules of things you can't do. If a guy's played minutes in the NBA and he has on a college basketball LSU jersey by the start of the season, our sport is upside down.
Yeah, I know.
It's the lowest of the low. And that's what it's looking like right now. And guys aren't too happy with Will Wade and what he's doing and the mockery he's making of the sport and how he's treating it. Now you're going to see college players at halftime drinking 40s and smoking cigs at halftime because that's the type of players he's recruiting right now. Guys who've been there and done that in the second best league in the world behind the NBA.
Yeah. And how can you coach that? I mean, how are you going to have you're going to have to adjust how you do everything because they're pros.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, with that professional mindset coming in.
I mean, I just don't know what we do right here, man. And what I don't understand as well is I understand people think that nothing's going to change. But if you're the guy to make the change, you're going to get a nice pat on the back for attempting by the regular guys like you and I that consume the sports every single day for trying to make an effort. But as days go by and nothing's happening, I mean, come on, man. What are we doing?
Well, it's like, and I won't mention his name, but you can probably figure out who it is. We just had a player come in for Radford basketball who just departed. He may or may not have went on to a Big 12 school.
Okay,
we had a great conversation. I asked him, so what was it as he was leaving? He was he's a nice kid. It's Dennis Parker Jr.
Yeah, I got you.
And I said, listen, man, good luck. What was it about Radford? He goes, they offered me 3 times more than anybody else. And so we laughed, and I said, had you ever heard of Radford? He went, no. And he wasn't being mean.
No, I got you.
He wasn't being a jerk. He was being honest. And as I walked away, I'm sitting here going, that's what it is.
That's what it is.
That's what it is. It was all about what he was going to get. And he said, we got here. He liked it here, liked the New River Valley. He liked the student body. He liked being at Radford, but didn't have any idea what Radford was.
Yeah, I get it. And he was a guy who was fairly close to home, being from Richmond, a guy who in high school was one of the top 100 players. So a Radford's not recruiting you. Team out of the SoCon like a Western Carolina isn't recruiting you. Only the big dogs are. And that's why he went to NC State, came to Radford, did his thing for a year, 53-point explosion, heard around the world, around the college basketball world. And now he's going to Kansas. I'm not surprised at that either, because his high school basketball coach is a guy named Ty White, a really good guy who is the founder of Team Loaded, one of the best AAU programs in the country. And they're an Adidas team. I said, if Dennis Parker leaves, Radford's going to be for an Adidas team, because that's the ties there. And he's at Kansas.
That's exactly what happened.
Had for Team Loaded, had Frank Mason, who was the National Player of the Year. They also had Andrew Wright, who was one of the better players in the Big 12 during his time at Kansas. So that connection is there. And that's what college basketball is as well. It's the relationships you can build. Pit stop at Radford, get my numbers up, get my film, and then it's on to the next highest bidder, which you're probably going to be looking at a team maybe even in the 7 figures.
No, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. Hey, Anthony wants to ask us, especially you, Keon, because you're the man. Keon, he's a big Louisville fan. What do you think of Pat Kelsey's portal class? They've loaded up.
They've loaded up again. It's over. Michael Brown is the only reason that Louisville didn't make it farther in the tournament a year ago. The inconsistencies, the injuries, but we all know Pat very well because of his time at Winthrop. I was there with playing against Pat during his first 4 years at Winthrop, and he hasn't tailed off it nowhere he's been. When he left Winthrop and went to Charleston, and when he left Charleston, went to Louisville, he's been the same guy recruiting the same type of player. Louisville is going to be really good next year in a very competitive ACC. Louisville is going to be right there at the top. UVA is going to be at the top again. They return pretty much everybody. And Duke has a class where it's like, if I had to pick a national champion right now, it would probably be Duke. It's going to be competitive.
Well, I don't know. And the SEC contributed to so much of what we have now. They're acting as if they were just innocent bystanders, like we are as fans, right? Oh, what happened? Well, you were you were pontificating when you had all the power. You had everything going your way. You were setting the rules. You're a commissioner setting the rules, and now you're not. And they don't know how to handle it. They don't know how to handle it, and that's what we see when you lose power. That's exactly what happens. The desperation, the attempts to try to get it back. And these meetings are going to be very interesting to see what comes out of it. Indeed.
Yeah, man.
So. Well, man, this is going to be great for you. I'm glad you get a little time off. Is today the last day?
Tomorrow. So
tomorrow's the last day.
Tomorrow's graduation. So you got to go to school, regular hours. Graduation is at 6:30. We get out of school at 1:50. So teachers have to be back just around 3:30, 3:40. It gets crazy out there. Parents go and park 4 hours before the graduation, or attempts to park before security tries to kick them out. And it's just a chaotic day tomorrow. So I won't be home tomorrow till about probably 9:30, 10. It's going to be crazy.
Wayne, what was your question? Hang on. He has a question for you too. What was your question, Wayne? I missed your question. Let me try to find it. Were his calves done mentally after game one? And
yeah, absolutely.
James Harden going to be done, or is he coming back?
Oh, well, James Harden's coming back. He's going to sign at least a 2-year deal, maybe even a 3. And absolutely, when you're up 22 on the road and you blow that lead, and you're in a situation where you have 4 timeouts. You're up
That's
big,
right. That's right.
and then you don't use a timeout, you deserve to lose. And that was everything that was a result of Cleveland's season being over. That was why they got swept right there. You can't be that ridiculous and not use a timeout. Cleveland's coach is very analytic based. Sometimes you just got to play the game.
Play the game, right?
All right, we talk about this analytic stuff. Call a timeout. If you're up by 22 and the team cuts it to 6, call a timeout.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, it's not rocket science.
Analytics can be part of the whole thing, but when you're basing the primary game plan and everything on analytics, it's not going to work.
It's ridiculous.
It's not.
I get it for some things. Great. You shoot better from this right wing
than
the left wing. All right, that's a real thing. I get it.
Absolutely.
Players have their favorite spots. But when you're like, all right, just because they're on a 20-year run, I'm not going to call a timeout because the numbers don't back me up, you deserve to get swept.
Right. Anything, by the way, you want me to ask James Franklin tomorrow? What do you want me to ask him? You got a question?
We got James Franklin. I'll text it to you.
Yeah, let me know because I'm over there. We're hosting him at the Warm Hearth Village tomorrow. So
I'm glad you got that opportunity, man. We know.
Yeah, it'd be nice to me. Probably the only time I get to talk to him, so it'd be great.
Yeah, man. He is over there.
Well, man,
I'm hearing good things about the players that's coming over there, though.
Yeah, I mean, they're the talent level is going to be great. They have to get here, and then they have to develop. You're looking at guys 2 or 3 years down the road, but I think this year's team is going to be better than what people think. Not
What's a
people
success
here.
For year one for James Franklin? What would be considered a success?
People are going to say 7 wins. They're going to go the lower end of it, but I could see him getting 8 or 9. I could see them if Virginia and Duke played in the ACC title game last year. I don't see why Tech can't do the same thing in year one for him.
All right, yeah, that's a good year.
I don't know. That's my opinion, but we'll see. I'll get called a homer by people, but that's okay.
Are the ticket prices to get to Tech football games out of crazy as well since he's?
I don't know. They'll control it. Well, it's going to go up just because of inflation and so forth. But no, I don't know what it is. I don't know. Season ticket holders, let me know. I don't know what they went up, what the packages are for this year. So I know they've been selling well, though. They've been selling well.
Yeah, man. There's a lot of hope in the New River Valley.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, man. Listen, you take care, and it's always good to talk to you, brother. Congratulations on getting through another school year.
We made it, buddy. We're here.
We made it. Woo, woo.
All right, buddy. And then in about 2 months, we'll be back on here like,
I know. You're going to be like, what's wrong, KB? You know what's wrong.
Yeah, we go. I'm going to remember that. I'm going to start a show like that.
Yeah. You just sit here like this.
Yeah.
All right, brother.
Take
care of yourself.
All right, bro.
Man. Take care of yourself. All right, be good. There you go. Keon Brand, joining us here on the program. Yeah, Tebow, I agree. I don't think the ACC has the depth to be this league where you can automatically assume losses. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I might be more excited over Grunkenmeyer than most people. I think Grunkenmeyer is going to be an all ACC candidate at quarterback. Now, maybe I'm, whatever you want to say. That's my opinion. I think a lot of him, because I watched him play last year. He's done it. He's done it at the highest level in the Big Ten, the league that's won the last 3 national championships in college football. I really think he's going to be a special player. I feel like he's coming to an offense he knows. He's got his tight end. He's got the slot receiver, the Brown kid. If the offensive line develops, it's got to get there. Thank you, Chris. Don't you feel that way, Chris? I just think he's going to have a good year. Yeah. So it's all about the offensive line. We know that. We know the running backs are going to be good. We know the receivers are going to be good. All right. There you go. Chris has got him a Heisman Trophy candidate 27. I watched him play it was one of those things where you're watching Penn State more than you normally would. It was at the Indiana game, and they're just on, and you're watching him. I'm like, this kid can play, man. And now he's here. I think it's going to be – I think people – not you, but I don't think people across that cover college football are giving the importance of him actually coming here as James Franklin's first quarterback enough stuff. But we'll see. But I think he's going to be really good. And I think they have a shot. Why not? We'll ask our next guest because he covers Tech football for a living. Damian Sordelet, there he is, the Tech football beat writer for the Roanoke Times. What's going on, man? How are you?
Morning. Just when you think the news cycle gets slowed down, you get multiple 4-star prospects committing in one class.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
keep you on your toes.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot going on. Of course, the structure of how the AD is going to be employed and what they're going to do now with the LLC, I think it's natural. I like it. I think you're seeing progress. You're seeing them grasp the way things have to be. What was some of your take on that? And I think if you are a potential AD candidate, Damien, you got to be excited because you can actually come now and just be an AD in your department and not have to worry about all these other things like fundraising and constantly trying to. You have to play the PR game, but clearly now you can kind of come in and it's almost like an old school type of job description, to be honest with you.
It is, and part of the structure of this, as long as the BOV approves this, the AD can call them money from Hokie Ventures whenever needed, which if you're an AD, it's like, oh, I need some money. Hey, let me pull it from this. It's when I first read it combing through the 1,400 pages or so of the BOV notes for the session on Monday. It makes sense. I mean, Clemson did this 2 years ago, and Brandon Hall was part of that when he was at Clemson.
Right. Yep.
I think it's natural just to make sure the new AD understands the structure of things. Witt brought that up. I asked him specifically, would a structure be in place before the new AD is hired, or would the new AD have a say in how this new structure looks? And he's like, if I'm interviewing for a position, I'd like to know what it looks like. So now we know what it looks like. It looks like the AD, based on the job description for the AD that was listed on the search firm website, AD is going to have control over football. So you get, like you said, you get to do all the traditional roles of the athletic director. And I don't know where the reporting structure is going to be, if Hokie Club's going to go to the Hokie Ventures or to the AD, but it's a lot less responsibilities off the AD, and you allow the CEO to run the business side and handle everything that's needed to get things in order.
I have a feeling that the new AD will be instructed pretty clearly that football is going to be James Franklin's, though. I don't think you're going to have the AD do much of anything with football. And maybe that's okay for them while he's here. It feels like when you hear about how he's going to have such a big impact on who the guy is going to be or the woman who comes in here, it kind of feels like, that's where all that's headed. There'll be a conversation or two about the setup, like you said. So,
yeah, but you don't need the setup to be where it's James Franklin doesn't report to anyone outside maybe the Board of Visitors. And then if Franklin moves on and you need to hire someone, you need to make sure that the structure's in place where the AD does have control. So I don't know if you're going to see James Franklin come in with the new AD and say, glad you're here, but you're not going to oversee football.
Leave me alone.
I think the AD will have some say over football because you need that structure in place if there's a change in leadership at the football room. So I would say I like this spread out, divvying up the responsibilities working in tandem, essentially. So that way, I like it.
Yeah, I think it's the only way to go. Other schools have already shown it can be successful. And if you're going to try to deal with everything and cope with this environment, why not try to create ways in which now the focus can be with the right kind of people? Because ADs don't have time to go out most of the time and be fundraisers, which I know a lot of ADs I talk to around the Big South, mid-majors, you talk to them as well. They're all just like, man, my job now is like 70%. I'm out trying to raise money instead of like being right there in the office every day. And now, at least at Virginia Tech, it looks like it's going to go back the other way. And I think that is a positive. Have people like Brandon, whoever it might be on the other side, the Hokie Club side, responsible for the money gathering, right? That's what's important.
Yeah, I agree. And the Hokie Club needs to get fully staffed. And again, I don't know. I guess we might have some clarity during Monday's BOV meeting what the structure looks like. Does Hokie Club now fall under the purview of Hokie Ventures? Or does Hokie Club fall under the athletic director? So we'll see how that is. The one caveat that they did carve in there that I wasn't exactly thrilled for is the for-profit aspect of it, with potentially going to private capital. I can tell you, Witt told us, I think it might have been last year, regarding private capital, it was a full nonstop, not even going to consider it. But again, new leadership, they might have a different view on it. But I think if you see how the Big 12 has approached private capital, with a lot of them saying no, you would hope Virginia Tech is still in that same boat.
Yeah, 100%. The Big 12 is trying to do what it can, and it's, its position once its new TV deal kicks in, it's going to jump way ahead of the ACC in revenue. The ACC's got to figure it out. But are you watching any of these SEC meetings? I'm watching them with just humorous glances at the things that are being said by the leaders, the presidents, and in particular Kirby Smart, who's saying, hey, the breakaway, if we can't play by the rules, we're going to leave. Another, hey, let's go pick up our ball and go create our own thing. It's fascinating to me to watch these comments that are coming out from Sankey on down to these coaches and the things that they're pontificating right now, that they feel like they're being threatened because of the success of the Big Ten, who all of a sudden is just like, yeah, we're not intimidated by you. We've won the last 3 championships. Where have you guys been?
That's the SEC for you. That's the nutshell. And I thought Mike Elko's comments were fantastic yesterday. It's like essentially saying if you make this a 2014 playoff, you're essentially giving everyone a participation trophy, because it's like, yeah, my resume is going to look so much better instead of going to the Pop-Tarts Bowl and going to the college football playoff. He's right.
Yeah. I mean, he's right. But then you had Eli Drinkwitz saying, if you put 24 teams in, I'm not sure the best team always wins it. Isn't that true? That's true, really, of every play. And if you go through the tournament and you win every game, you're the best team of that tournament.
Yeah, agreed. And there was someone that said something about Greg Sankey, I think said something along the lines of, how do we get to this like tournament-like feel for football? And it's like, you're the one who's been pushing for expanded playoffs.
I know.
I mean, we could go back to the days of prior to the BCS, where you go to your bowl games and let the polls determine who's the national champion. We could do that. It'd be a lot more simpler.
Yeah.
But I do think that the calendar aspect of it that the SEC is proposing, like make January 1st sacred again.
Yeah, the calendar makes sense. Yeah.
And then I know this is a bit off topic, but Jason Kelsey, if you're listening to their podcast, mentioned he's not a fan of the NFL moving away from Sundays for its games, because he thought Sundays were for the NFL. And that would help tremendously with college football if the NFL can start getting its hands off every other day of the week. And let college football be the king of Saturday, and occasionally the midweeks. So,
yeah, well, he knows that's not realistic. The NFL wants to take over the world. They want to take over the whole week. They're not going to. I don't like it either, but they're not ever going to go back now. They're playing on a Wednesday, for goodness sakes, this year. It's ridiculous. Yeah. It's ridiculous. So all that's going on. All I know is I didn't hear anybody from the SEC when Florida State went 13-0 and lost their quarterback. And, we're told they couldn't participate in the 4 teams. I don't think that's a better scenario than 24 teams. I'm sorry. That means that all 13 games they played didn't mean a damn thing, right? They went 13-0. We're not going to let you in. You lost your quarterback. Mm-hmm. I don't remember Kirby Smart or Greg Sankey or anyone else coming to the defense of Florida State. So what is more watered down? What is more pointless? To go through a season, win 13 games and be left out, or expand it out and you have teams? So what if they get hot in the tournament? That means they were better coached and better prepared to go through a longer postseason. So I don't know.
I know it seems like a lose-lose situation if you ask me, because
I know I don't trust any of the people that are paid to run any of this, right? They've already shown they're inept from NCAA down. I don't believe any of them.
No.
It's all about self-interest and the kind of dough that they're going to bring in at this point. So
agreed.
I don't know. It's very troubling. It's very troubling. And I think it feels like they're panicking a little bit, the SEC, because I think they're looking around realizing that it doesn't matter. We're not going to be able to stop this anytime soon.
Well, yeah, and the SEC's cash flow is coming from ESPN, and ESPN doesn't want to go past 16.
Of course.
So when you get to the talking points, Greg Sankey's like, well, my bread's buttered by ESPN. I need to talk like I have ESPN's best interest in heart. The ACC is like, well, we're not getting anything close to what the SEC is getting from ESPN. Hey, we want 24, so that way we have more money in the pot. That's the difference.
Right. That's right. But the SEC would probably benefit the most, them and the Big Ten. What do you think? If they went to 24, they'd get at least 6 in, wouldn't they? Potentially?
6 each.
Yeah, 6 each. And that's half the field with the 2 power leagues. So
then we're getting to the point where you're getting some 8-4 and 7-5 teams that don't deserve to be in. That would be because you'd have a committee determining this versus metrics or any other type. Like if we go 24, and I've said this before, let's go back to some sort of a BCS model where you put the numbers up there.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. I agree. What's your thoughts as you look in at this Tech roster coming up? I know they've got some recruiting hits recently, but that's further down the road. I'm looking at this year's team. When you look at the ACC last year, which you covered, and you saw Virginia and Duke rise, is it out of the question to think that year one with somebody like James Franklin, who's got all this momentum, it brings – if the coaching staff works out and the offense, there's a lot of ifs that have to happen. Would it surprise you to see them make a huge push in the conference this year?
Not at all.
Yeah, exactly.
This roster is light years better than it was last year. The quarterback room is significantly upgraded through, getting guys who had great relationships with Franklin and O'Brien. And heck, you got probably one of the best transfer quarterback prospects in Ethan Grunkemeyer. I know Darian Mensah, Sam Levitt, and others get heaping praise, but Grunkemeyer fits that offense well, and the way he played over the final 4 games of last season were, 0 interceptions, getting that team to a bowl game, beating Clemson, which didn't have many opt-outs at all, to win the Pinstripe Bowl. That's big. I think the offensive line's better. I do want to see what the rotation is going to look like, but I got a feeling you're going to see some redshirt freshmen get some playing time. And I just think with Brent Pry moving back to defensive coordinator, that unit's going to be in a much better spot than it was last year. I know with Sam Seifkison running the multiple formations, I don't think he had the personnel to run that type of 3-4 defense. I would say with Pry going back to his scheme, he's got the players there. I think you'll see guys like Knowledge Harrell. Tyrell Grant was a star at the spring game. I think you have some guys who can push some starters out of their spots as the season goes on, and I think this roster's in a much better spot than it was a year ago, and the schedule's a lot more favorable. You don't have South Carolina and Vanderbilt to kick off the season. You get VMI, Old Dominion, Maryland. You have a nice runway to get the season going and get some of the kinks worked out and get yourself in a position where that back half of the schedule, you know who you are and you know how you can plan against these other teams. Because that back half of the schedule is grueling. If Tech's in a favorable position going into that stretch, injuries not adding up, you're in a good spot.
You're right.
A spot to contend for the ACC title. And I've seen some people say Tech could go 10-2 and not make the ACC title game. If you're 10-2,
you're making the ACC title game.
Unless your two losses are in league play to say Miami and SMU or Miami and Clemson or whatnot, and those other teams only have one league loss. But if you're 10-2, you're in the playoff discussion, whether that's 12 as it is right now or 24. And compared to last year, that's a step in the right direction if you're Virginia Tech.
Has this surprised you, speaking of Clemson, of how poorly Dabo and that program's adapted to the portal and the new ways of doing things? He was going to try to fight it, and finally the big money boosters, who are really his bosses, like they are at most schools, said, hey, yeah, you're not just going to keep recruiting high school kids that aren't ready. We're going up against I'm surprised that a place like Clemson, who has so much money, right, that they say they do, and then they announce that there's university they're having problems. But are you surprised how much they've struggled adapting to the portal era?
I mean, Dabo was gung-ho against it from the get-go and focused on high school recruiting. That's why they've had such good high school classes, because he's like, hey, I'm not going to go the portal way. I want to develop you guys. And if you have that mindset, it's going to take some time to break that cycle and identify portal guys. So, he probably hasn't invested in portal recruiting like Virginia Tech has.
No.
And
it's shown on the field. It shows on the field the last couple of years.
And if you look at the breakdown, if you look at the titles for the support staff at Virginia Tech, you have high school recruiting and scouting, and then you also have portal recruiting and scouting. So Virginia Tech doesn't plan on going in and having big transfer classes every year, but they're like, hey, we know there's going to be needs. Yeah. And ideally you get guys from Virginia who want to come back to the state who are really good. You hope to hit on like an Antoine Powell-Ryland from time to time, or heck, even an Aeneas Peoples from time to time.
Yeah.
Those are guys you want to hit on. So I think Virginia Tech has done that, but Clemson has taken some time. And until they invest in staff to look at the portal and assess the team's needs and say, here are the best available players, they're still going to fall behind that way. But I think Clemson still wants to go the developmental route, similar to how James Franklin wants to go the developmental route. Clemson doesn't view every recruiting pitch as transaction. They want to be, transformative. Just like James Franklin, he wants to transform these players from elite high school players to elite college players who can go on and play in the NFL. And I think that's the message Dabo's been saying. Franklin's saying that as well, but Franklin also is smart enough to know there are times where you have to go into the portal and add to your roster that way. And Dabo's just been a little slow to that.
Yeah, I agree. He has. He's fought it. Look, and I appreciate his mindset because I think a lot of us as fans hold that. The way it was, we're having a harder time as fans adapting to all this. So I get why he's saying that, but he's another guy that's making $12 million a year. So it's not like you're not part of this problem too in a lot of ways. Like Kirby up there yesterday saying that he's concerned about how we're affecting all the other sports when he's collecting $15 million a year. No, you're not. Kirby doesn't even know what other programs they have at Georgia outside of football and basketball. So that's one thing, though. If you're making that much money, you do have a responsibility to people who are paying you that money, the boosters in particular, to say, okay, this is how we have to do business. I don't like it, but let's go. Let's see what we can do to get this program back to prominence. And you're right. He has not done that at all.
Right.
He hasn't.
Yeah, but I will say the stick and ball sports at Georgia have been pretty good. I believe Georgia is a top 4 national seed for the baseball tournament, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, the softball team's in the final 8.
Yeah, they're good. Yeah, they're in the World Series, I think, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think Georgia would. Yeah. So, Kirby, I think they're doing okay. So don't get up there and act like you're just being so noble.
Yeah.
If you really cared, you'd donate $5 million of your salary to other sports. Here you go.
Yeah.
Here's your travel budget. Just stop.
Yeah.
The insincerity of it all is what bugs me, I guess, the most. Do you think at the end of the week they're going to say, hey, we're on board like everybody else? The ACC still going around talking about it. The Big Ten can't stop talking about it. The Big 12, everybody wants 24. The SEC is the only holdout. They have dissension amongst the ranks. Alabama AD is pushing for it. Georgia, there's a lot of folks. What do you think? What do you think the SEC is going to decide? They may not decide at the end of this week, but you think ultimately you're just going to go, okay, we got to do this, right?
They're going to keep squabbling because Sankey's going to push 16. Or he's going to push, let's stay at 12, or if we move to 16, then the coaches and AD are going to be like, oh, we want 24. I think that's what's going to happen. There won't be the uniformity that you see with the other leagues. And again, I don't know why the group of 6 leagues would sign off on this. With saying they only have one guaranteed spot. I would have pushed for all league champions to have automatic bids just so that way the regular season matters.
Yeah, I like that. I do like that.
And then you're not looking at 6 teams from each the SEC and the Big Ten getting in, because in most years, maybe the top 4 is the only deserving to get in. Right?
Yeah. That's right. That's right. Well,
so we're not getting in an 8-4, 7-5 Iowa into the tournament. We're getting in 9 to 12 wins into the tournament. And also, here's the other thing Sankey is big on: the conference championship games.
Yeah, because they made $100 million off of the SEC title game. We found out yesterday.
He's like, we have contracts with them, even though it's hard to. Like in these recent years, I know people who have had a hard time moving tickets or selling their tickets for the SEC championship games. But again, you still make a lot of money off it because you have a contract with ESPN that says, hey, we're going to pay you a lot of money to host this championship game.
Yep.
And you're getting a lot of money from Atlanta to be the host of it. So yeah, why would you want to get rid of one of your golden gooses?
Well, somebody's going to have a model, I think, to say, look, I know we made this X amount of dollars. I looked it up. The Big Ten title game produced about $75 million in revenue. They very quickly said, we don't care about the title game. I think they've done the math a little bit. It's a more scholarly league than the SEC.
Yeah.
They said, look, with the extended playoff, if we get X amount of teams, we can triple what the championship game was going to produce. And I think the SEC just needs to come to that realization as well. So
yeah, agreed. The ACC, with it being in Charlotte, I mean, if you look at the last year's championship game with Duke and Virginia, there are a lot of empty seats. Unless your big names are in that championship game, you're not going to fill Bank of America Stadium. So
no, not at all. Not at all. More people are going to watch the ACC teams in a playoff than they are in the ACC championship game, right?
Yeah.
They're good.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Now, if Virginia Tech and say this happens, we have a 12-team playoff, and say Virginia Tech and Miami both reach the title game, and it's a rematch of the game 2 weeks prior in Charlotte, you will probably get a very good contingent in Charlotte for that game. Granted, now that it's a new a noon kickoff, the weather is going to be much better than it is for the night game.
Yeah, sure.
So you would probably have more people show up for that game. So that would help bring in some money for the ACC.
Yeah, 100%. Well, it's just interesting how they're fighting back now that they're the help create all this, and now they don't like it. They don't like how everything's moving forward without them. It kind of feels that way to me, right? It's like somebody losing their grip. If you're in politics, you realize your power's dwindling. The party's gone against you for the younger, more vibrant candidate, and you're still trying to hang on. It kind of feels what Sankey and the SEC are doing with this meeting. But we'll see.
Yeah.
One more here, Damon, before we let you go. Damon, Wayne asked, any coaches on the spring and fall? Any Tech coaches in spring and fall on the hot seat? No, there's not an AD in place to make a change, right?
No.
Yeah.
Wayne, I will answer this. John Sheff is probably getting, I would say regardless of what happened, if the team made the NCAA tournament or not, I think he was going to be one of those that Witt was going to give a contract extension on his way out to kind of make sure things are in place for the new AD. Because Witt did say he got the green light from Sands and Rakovich to finish up contract negotiations with coaches, which, based on how we asked the question, is going to be Mike Young, probably John Sheff. He was going into the final year of his deal this upcoming season. So in terms of hot seats, I will let the new AD kind of get a feel of things. I think you get 1 year with the new AD, see how things go, and then he or she will have an evaluation from that. So
yeah.
I would say if you've struggled recently, get going, get things turned around for the new AD. If not, then you have a body of work that will be evaluated. So,
well,
we'll see.
And none of those sports, let's just say it the way it is, none of them are revenue producing sports. So that's the other part of it too.
Yeah.
You bring new people in, you can commit all this new money to it all you want, but at the end of the day, it's still, even if they have a better year under a new coaching regime in baseball, you're still going to lose lots of money.
Yeah.
So that's what departments have to look at now. I mean,
yeah. And another thing is, why are we losing money? Because we're shipping some of these teams across the country when they don't need to.
Oh, I know. The California, of all the stupid things that's happened in realignment history, nothing's dumber than Stanford and Cal joining the ACC.
I agree.
It's just, woo.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. Well, listen, great stuff as always, man. Appreciate you. And we'll talk to you next week, unless you're going to be out of town. Let me know.
Yep.
Let me know.
Talk to you next week.
All right, brother. Take care of yourself. All right. Damian Sorlett. Great stuff from DS as always. Appreciate him. Good answers to those questions. I want to thank all of our sponsors, the NRV Super Bowl, Lawson's Mobile Home Supply, Brandon at Top Shelf Apparel. Of course, he did our T-shirts, and they are terrific. Vic always yells at me for not doing much with our BDST merch, so I'm trying to be better about that. Thanks to Sundown Electric down in Elliston. Thanks to the Smith brothers, Bob Christ, and ReadySetFun.com. Travis Williams and Professional Door Incorporated, residential commercial garage doors, family and operated, 38 years in business. National Bank member FDIC, our exclusive banking partner and my exclusive banking partner. The BDST fan question of the week brought to you by the attorney Ryan Pry, 701 West Main Street, Trust and Estate Planning. We're asking the best way to fix steak and hamburger. And so far, everybody likes medium. Little River Heating and Hair, 1095 Radford Street in Christiansburg. We're presented each and every day by Pulaski County Sports and Entertainment. Our chat room, McClellan Chiropractic, thanks to Mark Hundley, 155 Walters Drive. And Family Fencing, as I mentioned, sponsor of our studio here in Reiner. Good stuff. Big Dog Pop t-shirts incoming. I don't know. Maybe so. Maybe so. Joining us now on the program, I will say this. He's incoming. He is Phil Elmassian. What's going on, Coach Elmo?
Hope this will work.
So far, so good. So far, so good.
I started just playing with the computer. The StreamYard sent me a link to test out.
Yes.
And everything tested out fine. It was all positive. I hope this is better than the last. At least the sound.
No,
better.
You're good. It's all good, man. It's all good. All good. All right, so you're great. A couple things I want to ask you about. I can hear myself, though. That's the problem.
About now.
When I say something, I'm hearing myself. No, I'm still hearing me. That'll be a problem. I'll let you do most of the talking.
Well, you want me to, like I said, I wish we could have tested this. I could turn off my Bluetooth speaker, and I don't know if that'd make a difference.
Yeah, see if that works. Make sure you can still hear me. All right. Yeah, there you go. Can you
hear me?
Yeah, I can. Can you hear me?
This better?
Yeah, I can't hear myself now, so that's good. As long as you can hear me.
I can.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay, because I just got off my Bluetooth speaker.
Yeah, that's what it was. Then it was coming back at me as soon as I said something. So
okay, so
God knows no one wants to hear me more than once, huh?
This will work then, correct?
I think so.
All right.
Hey, I would ask you about the SEC's having their meetings, and it feels like to me that they're feeling like they're no longer in control. And they're trying to maintain control by being the last roadblock for the 2014 playoff. What do you think is going to happen long run with them? Is there any power left there for them to convince everybody else to see how they think? Or is this them going to have to go, if the other three leagues have already fully committed to 24 teams, how are they going to hold out?
Well, I mean, you start thinking about it, Rick. I don't know. I don't think I have an answer for you. I don't. However, I'll pose this, whether it's a question or what I would least come to thought about this situation is who is in control? Who are the powers and in control? You got, universities. Well, is it the president plus AD or the college commissioners and the TV money? Because the commissioners and the TV money, to me, go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Now, the president, who are the president and ADs? Are the commissioners that powerful and have that much control over the ADs and presidents because of, it's a circular firing squad, Rick. And right in the middle is the money. Yeah. Period. The money. Okay. So what's the money? That's TV. I'm not even going to get into ESPN, Fox, whatever. It's TV. It's selling advertisements. It's making a profit. Can the TV people make a profit to pay the universities? And as long as they can do that, and it is a large profit, then the presidents and ADs are telling the commissioner, hey, we need to chase the money. Because the president and ADs also, believe it or not, they got other sports to contend with also. The commissioners have other sports to contend with, but they're right now they're married to the money and the TV. So it's power / control. Who's got the power? Who's in control? Well, power is the money. Well, where's the money come from? TV. Well, who's in bed with the TV? The commissioners. Then the ADs and the presidents will follow. So I think that's the commissioners, then the AD, then the presidents. In that order are the controlling factors, because the commissioners, they're the ones, I think their attorneys for the commissioner of each conference are in negotiations with the television. I don't think the presidents are in negotiations with ESPN. The ADs aren't. You ask, look, let me say this to you, Rick. Radford's AD, he's not in the negotiating room with the TV contract.
No.
Whatever the Big South has. Is that correct?
Correct. It's the commissioner's office. Correct.
And I don't know, but I would like to think from a hierarchy decision-making situation, it's the commissioners in conjunction with, and so each commissioner is worried about what? Their own league.
100%.
The Big 12, I know they can all gang up. The Big 12, the ACC, and the Big 10, what they want. But when it's all said and done, the Big 10 is going to do what the Big 10's best for the Big 10.
100%.
They can sit there and flex muscles, and people saying, Kirby, hey, we'll get out, we'll leave. It's three against 4 in the Power 4. All that's all blowing smoke. That's because guess what? Kirby Smart's got nothing to do with this decision.
No.
I mean, zero. I don't care how many national championships he's got. Like Coach Holt said, administrators administrate, players play, coaches coach, and don't cross those lines. And you cannot, to this day, even especially in the world of money. That's the commissioners and the attorneys that are working for the commissioners to arbitrate the deals for television money. That's what's going to win. That's what's going to win out.
Well, agreed. And I don't see how Sankey, there's a couple people down there posted on X that at least half of the SEC coaches and ADs want the 2014 playoff. How are you going to get a consensus at that point?
The coaches and the ADs, they can want whatever they want. They can do it they can have all the wants they want. It's going to be a matter of what's Sankey with ESPN, and I'm sure Fox has got something to do with this. There's going to be a bidding war.
No doubt.
ESPN is going to try not to get into that bidding war because Fox got money too, and they got power. They got the Big Ten. They have the Big Ten behind it. And
that's right.
If I'm right, ESPN has sole rights right now to the 12 teams.
That's why they don't want to expand. That's right. That's right.
So that's Greg Sankey and ESPN are they're hey, let's stay at 12 and maybe, but we're not going to 24 because if you go to 24, ESPN can't handle all those games. No. I don't think they ain't got enough people to broadcast the games
or money.
They don't. So then it's almost like the AFL and the NFL back in the 60s. ESPN and Fox are going to be you go to 24 and it'll be a bidding war. And how can ESPN monopolize the playoffs?
Right.
That's right. They take that to the court, they lose. If Fox takes them to court to monopolize a 24 game, 16 game, or a 12 game, no attorney. I see imagination.
No, I agree. I'm at the point, if the SEC and the ESPN are so against something, then I'm going to take the other side of it.
There's reason. Well, what's the reason they're against it? Me.
Right. 100%.
Whose team, how many teams, it doesn't matter. I mean, who's in, who's not in. It's the money. Follow the money. And again, so it comes back down to, okay, who's got the power and who's in control?
And right now it's the Big Ten.
The only entities you got are, the universities. You got the commissioner of the conferences, the ADs and the presidents. The coaches, they're hired guns, man. They're no different than a custodian cleaning their offices. They got no vote. Never. Ever. Ever. The only back in the 60s, just remember this, there were quite a few football coaches that were the athletic directors. 60s and 70s, a la Bill Dooley, Vince Dooley, Bear Bryant, Pat Dye, all the SEC schools. You wanted to get a football coach. You gave them the dual role because of what? So you could increase their salaries, justify their salaries at the time. And I know that for a fact. That's why Bill Dooley sued the school.
That's right. That's right.
Because they wanted to split the AD and football coach.
Right. I remember that.
So and everybody started going their own separate ways with the athletic directors of the universities. So who's running the show? Well, and I know the money's running the show. So what's that mean? The the commissioners of each conference and the television people. That's it. Those are the only people that are running the show. And if you got, I don't know what the Big 12 contract is. You mentioned how much it's going to be way bigger than the ACC.
Yeah, once it all kicks in.
The Big 10 TV money is ridiculous. It dwarfs the SEC right now. And the ACC, they're the redheaded stepchild. I mean, as far as TV money. Then you got the Power 5 people. And to me, the only way they're going to solve this problem is they got to sit down and say, okay, Power 4, we're going to have 4. We're going to have Power 4. Okay? And I don't know how many teams that'll involve, but Power 4 have a national championship and a playoff, and the Power 5 have a national championship and, a playoff.
I think that's what's going to happen. Exactly.
So it has to happen. You remember years ago, back in the 60s or 50s, 60s, 70s, Harvard had the exact same vote as Alabama as far as football was concerned.
Right.
And they said, no, we're not doing that anymore. Well, guess what? It's going to come down to that same thing. It's not that the Power 5 schools are Harvard, but they don't want this. They ain't got that money. Come on now. You're going to put Marshall and Coastal Carolina on a primetime Saturday game?
Right.
No way. You put that on, someone's getting fired. Some exec's getting fired. You put that on.
No, you're exactly right. You're exactly right.
You start playing in July.
Yeah, you're 100% right, and it's not good in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, it's going to be dictated on how many eyeballs and how much advertising we can sell, and that's the route we're going to go, and that's where it's going to go. That's where it's already gone, but it's going to go even further going forward. So,
it's not rocket science. I mean, it's just fact, power and control. And the power is the what? The money. And who is in control and who's got the power? Well, TV and then the conference commissioners, the ADs and presidents.
No.
Come on now. The ADs don't negotiate TV contracts. I think that's the commissioner's job. One of them, part of the commissioner's job. I think. I guess it's right now, and don't forget, there's a lot of people, they don't want to solve the problems right now. They like it where it's at. We get to cheat legally, and people have the money to do it.
Yep.
They got the money to give to go out and buy a football team. Period.
Coach Morris wants me to ask you, Coach, I love how sometimes you talk about being fired in the past and you joke about it. He said, what was the best and worst experiences you had of losing jobs in the past?
The worst was Virginia Tech, because we won 10 games. One win by a forfeit. We had a 9-win regular season, played Temple. Bruce Arians was the coach. They had like 6 players that were ineligible to play. The one great running back, they had the Palmer kid. And they beat us in the Oyster Bowl. But on record, it is a 10-win season as record because the game had to be forfeited. And we tied South Carolina. So we went 10-1-1. Now, as the official record, but the records that stay is 9-2-1 with the only bowl win in the history of Virginia Tech over NC State. So all those wonderful things happened to us, ranked in the top 20 at the end of the year, and I was out of a job. We were out of a job because the head coach had gotten fired. That fireable experience was what really hurt me. I didn't hate Virginia Tech, but I was really upset. I was so upset. When Frank Beamer interviewed all the staff guys, I told the secretary I want to be last because I knew Frank, and I just wanted to be last. First thing I told him, and he'll tell you this. You talk to him tomorrow, and he'll tell you straight up. The first thing I said, Coach, I said, I know this is a courtesy interview. If you'd offer me a job, I'm not taking the job. I said, that thing really hurt me. I said, I gave up my opportunity with Coach Olson to come back here, and we did our job. There's nothing as an assistant coach I did wrong, but I was a victim of circumstance. So that was the worst firing. To this day, I still wear that Peach Bowl ring as the humbling experience everywhere I go. It's the only ring I'll put on. And when I get buried, I'm going to die with that ring on. Because I died with Coach Dooley getting fired and, us winning. You had a great year, not a good year, a great year. And had beaten Virginia's ass 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
So, now the best firing.
Yeah, the best firing. What was that?
Well, Purdue was one. Let me see. Purdue and Louisiana Monroe. Those were the two best firings because I told both head coaches to go stick it up their ass. And people said, would you do it again? Absolutely. And it wasn't a matter of right or wrong. It's just at the time, it's exactly how I felt with the circumstances that were in place at that time. So hope that answers the question for you.
Would you say you helped dictate those firing? You kind of wanted that to be the result because you got so sick of that particular coach and so forth?
I don't want to get fired, but, it's a fireable offense when you make that decision and you know it. So it's not a matter of want, but you understand what the circumstances are going to be. I mean, Paul Pasqualoni and I had a huge blow up, huge. When we were playing Florida, we're undefeated playing Florida. He asked me a question. I gave an answer that he did not want to hear and he didn't like. And next thing you know, we're at. But Paul was very professional. And I came back, we sat down, talked, said, Paul, you asked me a question. I gave you an answer, and this is what it led to. 2 wrongs don't make a right. I said, that I know. So I can be professional about this. Let's move on. And we ended up beating Florida's ass, doing what I wanted to do. Not because of it, but it was the question was, hey, it's 3rd and 6. What are you going to call from the secondary standpoint? I said, 6 a 3 deep zone from a two shell look, blah, 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 because of the potential draws and certain things Spurrier would do. And he was ripping by, but you think you're going to beat Steve Spurrier doing that on 3rd and 6? All right. And it was on. So it was blackboard pounding and a lot of, it got personal. It got personal. So those were the, that was the first year I was there. We had 2 11-win seasons. We moved on. It was great. The other 2 coaches, they knew. I think they knew I was right enough that they fired me.
They don't like to hear the truth. You can't handle the truth and don't have Coach Elmo around, right?
Yeah. And the one was about discipline. I'm not going to go into that story because it's very embarrassing. The ULM fire was about discipline, and the AD knew it. And both head coaches got fired the next year during the season. They both had gotten fired. It was a matter of time. They were going to get fired.
Yeah, not if, but when at that point.
Yeah, the one was about discipline. The other was about just football in general. The Purdue was about football and the character of the team to a point. But the ULM firing was about team discipline, which it was 0.
Well, before we let you go, Coach, I want to get your impromptu dollar rating on the new Virginia Tech quarterback, Ethan Grunkenmeyer, who I know you watched a lot in the Big Ten, and I think we've talked about him before, but I'm really excited for him and what this season could mean for Tech because of the fact they've got a guy in there who did it against, the highest level of competition. What's your take on him?
I liked him. I think watching the Iowa game is probably not fair. He's a true freshman. The Iowa game was a disaster for him. They pressured his butt. He could, and that's a team thing too. But boy, did he was under the gun, and but you watch the Indiana game and you sit. So he's a freshman, and I gave him free money. I'm not into the $4 signs, which means you're an impact player. You can impact the football team. I think, but I gave him $3 signs. I think he's going to be he'll be hopefully as good a quarterback as they've had there in an awful long time. I'm not talking about the record, but I'm talking about the quarterback play and going into his system. He already understands, and the good news is he's going to have competition, which makes everybody better. Competition is your best coaching aid. So when you talk about depth, I look at depth as is there competition within the position? Because, hey, the most productive player is going to play. And when you have competition, it's just, hey, you want to be a real good tennis player? You better play against a real good tennis player.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if you're really, really good and you keep playing really, really poor people, you're not getting better.
That's right.
That's right. And I'm looking at them. Rick, the way football is right now, Coach Holtz always said there are 3 ways to improve a football team from your record of the year before, whether you had a losing one or even a winning one. And that was, into the program, delete from the program, or have your seniors play at their best. Well, right now, I think first thing is when you go into a program like Franklin did, or whoever's going in now to any program, the first thing you're going to do is look at your roster and who you're getting rid of. Because you can do it. You can do it. Without having to, quote, run them off with the physical challenges, as we used to do as coaches, the Fair Bryant Junction days. Okay?
Yeah.
Now it's a matter of how many of them say you're not playing. You need to move on. You need to move on from this program. Okay, because of what? The portal. Okay? So you got to delete first. Okay, then you got to add. Once you delete, you got to add. You can ask Todd Grantham this. I think the first thing he did at UAB was delete.
Yeah.
Then start adding. Then the third thing now, Rick, the number one thing now is retaining what you have for at least 2 years to maybe 3. Of what you've worked your butt off on evaluating who we should get rid of, who we should bring in, and now how long can I retain this group for? And if who you bring in isn't worth a damn, well, you're back to deletion again. At some point in time, your additions to the program, you've got to be able. Hopefully, they're good enough, and you got to retain it. I look at Virginia's offensive line. I've heard you made the statement they got one of the best returning offensive lines in the ACC. Well, they finally went out and found good players.
Yeah.
And they did it with the portal. And guess what? I haven't heard of any of those linemen leaving.
No.
So what's that mean? Well, number one, they feel good about the program. And more importantly, they're going to get paid. Who ever heard of a starting offensive lineman or any starting Alabama player that's leaving the program?
That's a great point.
It's not being told to leave, or Ohio State, or LSU, or Texas, or A&M, or Duke for that matter. If they're that good, they're going to pay them. If you're starting, you're going to get paid. Don't think about transfer unless you just don't like the program. And if you don't, I'm going to tell you to leave.
Well, I think UVA is kind of going under the radar a little bit because of that offensive line. I think the Prebola kid was a great get out of the portal. He was a good college quarterback last year.
Very good. I mean, he and Gruckmeyer, to me, you could put him in a bucket.
He and Gruckmeyer, I know they could be the top two guys in the league. Who knows?
He won 7 games as a starter in the SEC.
Right. Right.
You know, and then they got the kid from Pitt who's okay. He's okay, but I like they got a freshman coming in. I can't remember his name now, and I watched him, and I really liked him. Just like the kid at Virginia Tech, the Hume kid.
Right. Yeah, you like
He's
him.
one of my favorites, you know. So Virginia, here's one thing about it, Rick. Let me throw this out to you. And I think you'll appreciate this. You know, I wanted you to ask Keon if he felt Ralph Sampson's talent was similar.
Yeah. Remind me next week. I'll do that. Yeah.
You'd love to have heard him because that's when I first saw Wembanyama, the very first time I saw him, I go, Jesus, it's Ralph Sampson. Physically, he's Ralph Sampson.
Ralph Sampson.
Yeah. The skill sets are better or worse. I don't care. But I know this. I'm at the University of Richmond in 1977. Okay. I'm sitting in my office in a basketball office. We're on the same corridor at that time. An assistant coach named John Avert used to be the head coach at Culpeper. Great guy. We were good friends. He comes running to my office. He grabs me. He goes, Phil, you got to see this. We go down. We're all in the Robbins Center in the basketball arena. We go down. And this is 1977. They got a basketball camp going on. And there's this 6'10". I think he was 6'10" at the time, 6'9", 6'10". I can't remember if he was a 9th grader or a 10th grader. But I'm not off. It's either one of those two. Ralph Sampson's on the court leading the fast break. And I mean, he looks like a point guard. And oh my, I've never seen anything like this. Never. It was, you wanted to pay admission just to watch the game.
To watch him, yeah.
Charge admission. And of course, he was at Virginia, being at Virginia. And I got to know him when I was coaching there because he'd come back to the university. But can you imagine with his skill sets? Because I know I saw his skill sets as a 10th grader. If they played the game if he played now in today's basketball concepts, where he's facing the basket, not with his back to the basket 90% of the time. Can you imagine the impact he'd had?
His sister played at Radford. Joyce Sampson played for Radford.
You know what's crazy? I've brought this up to many people. Two things I want to point out, and I'll let you go. Is Dan Patrick. I listen to the Dan Patrick show a lot. I think he's outstanding.
Yeah, he is.
That's the first thing he brought up. He goes, he knows basketball because he was a former player. He goes,
yeah, that's his best sport. Yeah, he does.
He made a comment that kind of made me feel good about it. He goes, oh no, this is Ralph Sampson. So what I've told you about Ralph Sampson, he's uttered in his radio show the same damn thing about if he was playing today and comparing him to Wembanyama. And everybody that I've heard talk about Wembanyama, the first thing that comes out of their mouth is it's Ralph Sampson. And here's one thing Ralph Sampson did, Rick, going back to UVA. When he got to UVA, and I don't know whether they knew they were going to get him, thought they were going to get him, didn't matter. They got him. And you know what that taught the University of Virginia? How to win. For the first time in the history of their whole university, Ralph Sampson brought winning to Virginia, and they liked it. So they went and hired George Welsh.
Most important recruit of any sport in the history of Virginia athletics?
In a program to turn a university around. It changed everybody's. They all of a sudden people at University of Virginia, from the alumni to the professors, they liked the winning. Oh my God, this is a lot of fun. Let's go get a really good football coach. Let's do this in football too. And they hired George Welsh.
Sampson brought George Welsh. And
then George Welsh. And next thing you know, it's all of a sudden people are pissed off now at Virginia when you're losing.
Right, yeah, you're mad. What are they doing losing games? Come on.
They're finally mad. They're finally upset. So that's my take on that.
That's great. Yeah, that's a great point, man. It's a great point. Yeah.
Wahoo, baby.
Well, great stuff, brother, as always. And thanks. Hey, your computer, I think, works. I think that's fine the way you have it set up now.
as long as this sound is good, I'll come off the Bluetooth speaker. But everything on the computer says it's good to go.
Yeah.
The camera, the speaker, and everything. I don't know how. This will sound.
I think you're fine, Coach. I think that worked just fine. Absolutely.
Okay, great. Well, Rick, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. As always, man. Good to see you.
Hey, do me a favor now. Don't forget.
Yeah.
Franklin for me.
I will. I'll say it tomorrow. I will bring you up before we start tomorrow. I will.
It's a professional. I call it professional friendship. We coached against each other for 4 years. 2 kids. I think he was OC at K-State. I was at Nebraska, and at UMass. When he was at Vanderbilt.
Okay, so, I'll do it. Yeah, absolutely.
Tell him I want to come up and see him. Say hi.
Okay, I'll do it.
Cool. All right, Rick. You take care.
Right, thanks, man. There you go, Coach Elmo. Remind me, everybody, not to forget tomorrow. I will not. I will not let Coach down. I will not let Coach down. Good stuff. Hang on just a second. Let me get it. Okay. So I hate spiders more than anything in the world. And a big old brown recluse just started running by here, so I had to pull a Balboa Creed. He's no longer with us. Oh my gosh. If one day we're doing the show and you look down, you see one just dropping out of the ceiling, just let me know. Let me know. Great stuff from Coach Elmo. We're keeping it raw. I told you we were loaded today, right? With Keon and Damian Sordelette and Coach Elmo, and here's Todd Grantham. He's outdoors, defensive coordinator at UAB. Where are you, my friend? I know where you are. You're at your house, aren't you?
I'm actually at my lake house on my deck back here hanging out. So
boy, that looks good. Just miserable. Wow.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Hey, good question here from Coach Elmo. He wanted me to ask you. So you get to UAB, and I know how you had to go through guys you wanted to bring in, but can you talk about guys you looked at and you felt like there was some subtraction, which everywhere you've gone, right, you have to go through the roster. Can you talk about how you go about looking at guys and, okay, maybe they're not going to be the kind of players we need to get what I need my system to go on and so forth?
Yeah, I mean, basically, I did this 2 years in a row, right? So, when I went to Oklahoma State, you have your front seven and your back end guys, and I evaluated everybody. Now we had 12 days to basically get involved in the portal before Christmas break, holidays, and all that kind of stuff. So, watch the guys, and I had been watching them a little bit earlier, and it kind of fell where the front guys were leaving and there were roster spots. Okay. Well, in the back end, because, Coach Gundy did not believe in paying guys, which, I respect that. I get that. But what happens is if a guy on your team's a pretty good player and somebody's going to offer him money, well, he's going to leave. Okay. Well, the guys that don't have any options are not going to be offered that money. They're going to stay. Right. So, Gundy's an old school guy. And like I said, he'll be a Hall of Fame guy. So in our front, we were able to turn over the roster. You can go back and look at it. We turned it over pretty good. In the back end, we had a lot of guys that were older guys that were getting ready to graduate that he didn't want to get rid of. Okay. So therefore, we knew that it was going to be a 2-year haul because we would handle the front and we had multiple year contracts on that. And in the back end, we were going to play with older guys. So in essence, we knew we had to get through that. Well, that ended up not being a good situation. So when I went to UAB, I looked at every player. Okay. And the difference in the two situations were because of their record, a lot of guys went in the portal. You know what I mean? Like I'm going in the portal.
Yeah.
Okay. Or I'm leaving. Okay. Well, one, I'd evaluated everybody on that team and I knew exactly who was in the portal and who was out of the portal. And like I said, the personnel department, there was really two guys, the general manager and director of player personnel, Brendan Donovan. And those two guys did an unbelievable job because I kind of started watching those guys actually before I took the job because I knew what was going to happen. And as I watched them, I rated them, evaluated them, ranked them, and had above the line, below the line. Can this guy help us win or not? On everybody. Okay. So once I got there, I had a good feel for what we needed at all positions. And the thing that they had done a great job of, and not knocking anybody before, but they had a stack of guys. So, we had, let's say we had like 20 defensive linemen, interior linemen. And look, them guys go fast. Well, we went through them and I ranked them. And look, some of the guys they had up high, I didn't like. Some of them I actually liked better than I thought, and we moved on them. Okay. So we ended up building our roster that way. We're doing it. Okay. To be honest with you, a couple guys wanted to come back. Okay. And I said, no, we ain't doing that. Okay. Because we're not settling. Okay. So, once you enter the portal, you're in the portal, like we would have to bring you back. And then truthfully, based upon the tape that I saw and what was available in the portal, I'm going to go get somebody else. And that's just the way it went. So I was able to build the defensive roster, truthfully, a little bit easier this time around because we had so many spots. Now, it was a challenge because we had to get them in by the last day of drop ad for your classes. See, that's the thing people don't realize with the academic calendar. I mean, and then nowadays people have these mini masters where they can get them in March, which is like crazy. But we had to get everybody in by January 19th. I think that was the date. And we went to work and we were able to bring in roughly 31 new guys. And basically I had a plan for and the biggest thing is what's the position flexibility? Like you got to have inside guys, playing nose or tackle. That's really the same. But at the end of the day, are they 2-down players or 3-down players? Meaning they're really run players. 3-down means they got a little pass rush ability. Then the outside guys, because, I think it's important that you're versatile in your front structure, that you can be 3-down or 4-down. Can a guy play just outside backer or can he play defensive end outside backer? Okay. So, we kind of looked at that. And then the inside backer position, what kind of players are they? What kind of can they cover? And then you got to look at the secondary. Is the guy a corner? Is the guy a safety? Is he a nickel? Can he play more than one spot? Because, you generally, it's very hard to get like a true 2 deep without having somebody move. And we've ranked our guys. Like we've been doing it ever since I've been there. Like we ranked the guys, they came in. And Phil was there, looked at them, and then at the end of spring, we ranked our guys again.
Right.
And I used the last week of spring practice to do the what ifs for 3 days. Meaning, okay, we need to get this nickel more work at safety. We need to get this corner more work at nickel. We need to get this outside backer some work at end. And we kind of did that, and we actually put in another package where I call it Buffalo, which is big nickel. And we were able to take a safety or an outside backer and put them at what we call the nickel position, and just do that to create, defense is about players making plays. It's about 11 guys, tackling the guy with the ball at the end of the day. So, and when you start ranking guys, how can I get my next best guy in the game? And truthfully, that's what we did. And that's what we, went to work on. And we're looking forward to the season as we get, through this summer stuff.
No, it's fascinating. It's fascinating how you have to approach it. And that evaluation starts from the time you first get to the office, doesn't it? It never.
Yeah, it doesn't change. I mean, honestly, like I told you, I think I told you before, my wife and I are New Year's and we're going to watch the ball drop, when you get age, it's not a big deal. And I looked and it was like it was like 11:40 and I saw my iPad there and I had some guys to look at and I said, all right, dude, I'm going to watch this one dude. You better come out swinging. You better come off the bus impressive. And my wife, she looked at me like, really? And I go, hey, I got 20 minutes. So anyway, I looked at the kid and ended up actually liking him and stacked him on our board and went from there.
Christopher Lester wants me to ask you, Coach, did you coach J.J. Wilcox in Dallas?
Did not coach J.J.
Okay. I didn't know. He just wanted me to ask that, somebody he's familiar with. So you're seeing what's going on at the SEC meetings, and you got the 3 leagues that are all for the 2014 playoff. I guess I don't know if I've officially asked you how you feel about.
Well, I think that there's a lot in depth here. First of all, everything's moving closer to an NFL type system.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the issue there is there's no more 11-1, 12-2 teams. There's not going to be. Okay. So, and obviously the money is going to be a big deal about it. And ESPN's a part of it, obviously, just like Fox and all that. But at the end of the day, the SEC is the standard. And the reason I say that is the Big Ten success has become because the SEC pushed them to get where they are. Okay. The best talent, I mean, if you just look at the NFL draft the last 5 years, more NFL players are drafted out of the SEC than any other conference because they have the best players from top to bottom. Okay. And I'm not saying that you don't have an Indiana or something like that, but from top to bottom, it's the best conference in the country. Okay. Now, what the Big Ten has done a good job of is so the SEC signed their TV package like a bundle, like, you know, it's ESPN, ABC, and all that. And they got exclusive rights. You know, it was a 3:30 game, and then they've kind of moved to some night games and all that. Okay. Well, if you really look at that number that ESPN paid, which is really the way ESPN runs their sports programming, it's really undervalued, meaning they're not paying probably nowhere near what it would cost if it was on the bidding war or if Fox or other companies could bid on that package. Okay. So ESPN has it locked in. What Fox did the Big Ten did a good job is they did their TV slots and they bid it out to the other networks to bid on what you pay. And that's why at the end of the day, you know, the Big Ten pays, I think, each team like $76 million and the SEC is like 72. So at the end of the day, neither one of them are starving. It's only like a $4 million a day difference, right? So the Big Ten has kind of taken the realm on revenue because of that. Strictly because of that. But if you go back and just look at, you know, if you looked at the top 10 rated games last year, 5 of them had all SEC teams. 8 of the 10 had SEC teams. So they're going to be a major player. I think the biggest thing is a couple things. Is one, they obviously make money from the SEC championship. And that's that they make the most of anybody. Whereas, whereas now the Michigan or the Big Ten's not hurting; they're second behind them. But like the Big 12 and the ACC, they're like, yeah, let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this championship game because they don't make any. It's poor.
They don't make any money. Yeah.
I mean, so that's one thing. The other thing is ABC's. I mean, ESPN's behind the doors on this because there's a clause in their contract that if it goes beyond 12 teams, it can be bidded out again.
That's right.
So what happens is right now ESPN has it locked in at, hey, we have the playoffs. Okay. Yep. Well, if it goes beyond 14, you have to bid the other ones out. So if it went to 24, you got 5 rounds of playoffs.
That's right.
Playoff games. And those are going to be, becomes a cost. Well, that means we're not making as much money. Okay. So that's one thing. I think the other thing is that people got to get the grasp of like the SEC and the Big Ten. We're going to play 9 conference games. Okay. So you could easily go 6-3 in your league and be a really good team. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's say you play a marquee game because everybody wants the marquee game. So now let's say I play a marquee game and I lose it because they're 50-50 games. So now I'm 8-4. So how are we going to understand that an 8-4 team out of the SEC is much better than a 9-3 team in the Big 12 or the ACC because of the competition they played? Because everybody's going to get into where they have 4 losses. So I think that's going to become a deal because if you look at the NFL, that's where it's a little bit easier. It's all based upon who you play, your record, and all that. But I mean, over the last couple of years, there's been teams that were 500 or shit. I think Tampa Bay actually got in at 7-9 one year.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I'm saying? Because the way the rules are. So I think that people got to come to grasp with if you go to 9 league games, which I think is a good thing. Okay, you're going to end up having parity because you play these teams every year. You kind of know how to play them. They are the rivals, you know, you're particularly when you play on the road, they get excited and all that kind of stuff. So it is hard to win on the road. So you're going to end up with a team that could be 6-3 and really, really good. and you're comparing them to a team that maybe only has 2 losses in their conference, but they're not the same. So I think that ends up being something people got to come to grips with, because you're not in one system. Meaning, like in the NFL, it's one system, right? Whereas here you have the SEC, you got the Big Ten, you got the ACC, and you got the Big 12, and they're playing their conferences. Well, like I said, a 6-3 record in the ACC or Big 12 is not comparable to a SEC 6-3.
Well,
so
that's right.
I think that ends up being the biggest thing there, for that. The other thing is, I do think that at the end of the day, college football today is worse than it was a year ago, and that's just being real. I mean, because when you say that is so everybody started with a base salary, right? Well, you obviously want to retain players. So to retain players, you're going to have to give them more, because if they go in the portal, they feel like they're going to get more. So there's going to be an increased cost to retain your players. Well, if you go to the portal, now you're bidding on a player that everyone needs. So if you get, 2 to 3 people needing them, that's going to inflate their cost, okay, of what they cost to have. Then you want to, and it's even trickling down to the college guy. I mean, the high school guys now, is that number has went up over the last 2 years for what you want to pay those guys to come in. So all the costs are going up.
Yep.
So as the cost going up, eventually, I mean, there's going to be a cap on it. Like, we can't afford this no more. And I think the biggest thing is they put this cap thing in the CSC, and, it's supposed to be, hey, this is what your cap is. Well, now through this CSC thing, they can pay them more. So everybody's paying over the cap. So eventually it's got to come to a stop, of what you're going to do. And that's just the way it is. So I think that it's a little bit of jockeying position. I do think ESPN is behind the push for the SEC to do it, because, like I said, once it goes past 12 games or 12 teams, now it becomes a bidding war on the playoffs, which is going to increase their cost. And I do think that because of the 9-game schedule, a lot of and obviously the coaches want to go to 24. One, as a competitor, hey, I'm in the playoffs. And I think that with the way the bowl system is now, the 24-team playoff is going to create, for us fans, more excitement than a bowl game, because you're playing for something and you can advance, and it'll probably keep the players that you're paying playing. Meaning,
right,
like if once you're out of the playoffs for the national championship, that's not going to happen anymore. You know what I mean? They're going to probably opt out. So I don't think it's a bad thing to go to 24. I think that everybody's going to have to adjust their thought process on who are the best 24. Just like Miami won it this year, and I think the biggest thing with that is they had some inconsistencies within the year, meaning they lost some games they shouldn't have lost.
They did.
Okay?
They did.
But they have potential. So I think what's going to happen is the concern is does the regular season lose its value? Now, to you, me, people watching your show, no. But when you look at the ratings from the playoffs this past year, the Tulane game and the JMU Oregon game were low relative to the playoff numbers that they've had in the past. Yeah. And that becomes, and it's not the college, it's everybody. It's not necessarily fans that are listening to what your show or it's the general public, and will they have interest to turn in and watch, because that is dollar value. So what's the number? Now, I don't think 24 would kill it. I do think that if you did that, you got to get rid of the championship games, which that's going to be more of a cost to the SEC and the Big Ten than it is the Big 12 and the ACC. So I think what kind of, just like Notre Dame, I mean, Notre Dame's wanting this at 24. I mean, Notre Dame's going to be in regardless. Like it's Notre Dame and 23 other teams with the schedule they got. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's just a fact. So I think it's, how do we secure that we're going to get our quality teams in? I think that'll be something that'll be discussed for the Big Ten and the SEC as they move forward. So, it's just going to be an adjustment period, understanding that you could easily get an 8-4 team in there that goes on a run and wins a couple games because they played a tough schedule. They played on the road, could have had injuries. And I do think it allows an inconsistent team to get in and go on a run. Whereas the one thing I'll say about Kirby is they don't lose games they're not supposed to. I mean, if you go back over the last couple of years, if they're favored, they've generally won the game. And so I think that from his mindset, we're a consistent program. We're a structured program. And I want to keep it at 12 because of the way we play in the regular season. So I think his mindset is because of the way we play in the regular season and we kind of win the games we're supposed to win. And we've got better talent than most of the teams we play. I would rather keep it at 12. Now, he doesn't have a vote in it. He doesn't have a say in it. But I think that's the mindset of him from a standpoint of we win our games that we're supposed to win. So I think that's the difference there, just from an opinion standpoint for those two guys.
So you think it's likely the SEC eventually will say, okay, we're
going
to 24.
Eventually they're going to get it, but I think it's going to get worked out to where, okay, what's the dollar amount? How are we going to spread it out based upon our loss from the SEC championship game? Yep. That kind of stuff. So I think all of that stuff is just jockeying because really the coaches want it because the coaches, I guarantee you as a coach, I would rather be playing in a 24 team playoff game than preparing for a bowl game, knowing that I'm probably going to get some opt-outs, so from a competitive standpoint, you're going to want it. Now, truthfully, football is different than basketball or even baseball. In basketball, a guy can get hot behind the 3-point line, in a guard, because, guards make a difference in the NCAA tournament. Guy can get hot and all of a sudden a team can upset somebody. Football is a little bit more of a big man, grown man league. You know what I'm saying? And your front people do matter. Not that it can't happen, but generally speaking, the size, the strength, and the speed of your team generally takes over from a physical nature. So they would probably be less upsets in a 24 team relative to like the 64 team playoff, or even in the baseball, thing that's getting ready to happen now where a pitcher gets hot and can, bats go cold and things like that. I think it's a little bit different that way. So you're probably going to have 4 to 6 teams tops that can realistically win, a national championship, but you got to get through you got to get through your brackets and all that, and it creates excitement. So I think it's a good thing. I think it's just a matter of everybody feeling comfortable with the numbers of participants they get in, to play.
One last thing I want to ask you. Coach Elmo is convinced we're going to have the Power 4 playoffs and then, the rest, the other 5 leagues. You think that's coming down the road?
Yeah,
2 separate titles?
It's coming. It's a matter of when. I think that's really what the AD at Georgia was trying to say with. And I think what he's looking at is he's looking at the cost. He's looking at like this isn't sustainable and we're just going to move away, which he's not. But I think that behind closed doors, the SEC and the Big Ten are both going to be talking about how do we make this a super conference, and it's going to end up being 50 teams. We got our own rules, and because it's much easier to regulate that than it is the entire NCAA right now. So I think eventually it'll be moved off to a super conference. You'll have those conferences, and I think everything else will go back to the way it was, Rick, when you and I grew up, more of a regional based thing, which isn't a bad thing because people still watch football, and it'll be more regional based. It'll be a lesser league in the sense of you won't have quite the talent. But I'll be honest with you, the fans that watch it, they're not going to know that. They're just going to watch. They're just going to watch the jersey of the team playing and the school and all that kind of stuff. So eventually it's going to get to that because it can't sustain it the way it is. Just like, you can have an operating, like you're going to branch off and you're going to have a business side now, which totally get it. But, you can only go the well so many times on asking people for money, because at the end of the day, the people that you're asking for the money, they want a relationship with the coaches and the AD. That you're going to still have to have those relationships because they want to be connected. They want to have intel. They want to be a part of that. And you're still going to have that relationship, even though someone else is negotiating, the money they're donating and things like that. So that's just part of it, but you can only go to that so much. And the one thing that hasn't happened, yet is everybody used to rave about like facilities in the NCAA, like SEC, Big Ten, like the facilities were like unreal, because that was the way you could, entice kids to come to your school, because you really weren't paying them per se, but you'd have an awesome cafeteria for nutrition, strength and conditioning room. Well, now, okay, you have those facilities. But now you're paying them, because in the NFL, those facilities aren't as nice, because you draft guys, you got them, and this is what we got. Okay.
That's right.
And now they're functional, but they're not as elaborate. Okay. So what's going to happen is, moving forward, they're going to have to make a decision on, okay, do we put our money in these facilities, or do we put our money into the players? And they're going to put the money in the players. The facilities are going to be good. They're just not going to be as plush as they were, 3 or 4 years ago.
So you think the next conference expansion is not going to be necessarily lead the league? It's going to be who's chosen to join the big breakaway.
I think it's going to be the super conference. I think that'll be the next, because that'll end up creating the dollars that these major mega teams are wanting, for their conferences. And I do think it's easier to regulate 50 over 136 or whatever it is. You can regulate that much easier, and everything, and kind of go from there. So I think that'll be the next one, just, when it happens.
It makes sense. And then that breakaway, that group can hire its commissioner, its own leader.
So then they hire a commissioner, and hopefully they get back to playing normal regional games that mean something, meaning that, Stanford and Cal is not in the ACC, which is like the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Not so much for football, but all sports. I mean, it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, like, if you really think about it, if you just went down the Eastern Seaboard with, Virginia Tech, North Carolina State, West Virginia, Pitt, even Penn State, or however you separate those teams. I mean, now you're playing teams more in a regional, kind of like the NFL does, and you structure it throughout your region, and you can go from there, And I do think you can even make it where, like, those guys have a conference or whatever, or a division, and just like the NFL, and if you win your division, you're in the playoffs, and separate it that way, which is what the NFL does, and that way, because I do think you want to make sure you keep, because the great thing about college football is every weekend games mattered, what I mean? Games mattered and everything. So I think you still want to keep it where the games matter. And if you do that and you break away, have it like the NFL. You got divisions, and within your divisions, you play your teams, which is just like a conference. And if you win your division, you're in the playoffs. Pretty simple. But, we'll be a few years down the road before that happens.
When that does happen, do you think, Brandon asks, you think those teams will continue to play schools who did not join the big league, or is it all going to just be encompassed?
Well, I think that'll be, that'll be a great question, because to help the health of the sport, you need to play all teams, meaning you're out of conference. You need to play other teams that maybe aren't the super conference, because that draw one helps those guys with their revenue. Okay. So I do think that is something that needs to be negotiated out to help the health of the sport from that standpoint, rather than you say you just play your 50, you know what I mean? Like, you get 2 games, and of those 2 games, you can play anybody, but your conference, or your record for our conference, is really based upon these 10 games. You know what I mean? And then you can play 2 games out of conference or whatever, because that would help the health of the sport, because that's how those lower tier people make their money for all sports. And that just needs to be the way it is.
And it'll be interesting to see what that number looks like. And if somebody in the Power 4 now is excluded, what might be the criteria, right? There might be.
Yeah, that's going to be the big deal, is the criteria from a seating capacity to your budget. Because, right now you have to have a minimal budget. What's that budget going to be? Obviously, for the let's say the super conference, that budget's going to be much higher than it is, for a mid-major school, much higher. And are you willing to make that commitment? So that eventually is where it's going to get to. Now, we'll see how long that's going to take, because, like I said, we're worse off today than we were last year, because costs have went up and nothing's been done. That's just a fact.
That's a fact. Yeah. Wayne asks, Coach, would super conferences go back to divisions, like you mentioned, so everybody plays same people, divisions within the conference, so forth?
Yeah. Well, I think that, like this, for example, and we're all talking hypothetical here. I mean, what creates the most interest? Like, if you took Virginia Tech and all the Atlantic region area schools and you made your conference, then you had, the Southeast down south, then out west, you have Cal, Stanford, Washington. I mean, that just makes so much sense because now you're playing regional. And if it's no different than high school. Like, you win your district, like you move on and play another district. I mean,
there you go.
It's really been decided. It's just, it's like a simple answer. And let's just do that rather than spending millions of dollars to try to figure out something that's already been done. There's already a format in play. And my whole thing is if you win your region, well, then you move on to play another region champion. And if you win that, you move on. So that's how you advance. I mean, that's how high schools do it. And I mean, it makes like too much sense.
3 text messages came in. Would Tech be okay? Tech would be part of this, right? Yeah, Tech would be part of the Super Conference, right?
They'll be fine. They'll be a part of that. Yeah, they're going to be a part of that.
Yeah.
They'll be fine.
Nothing to worry about,
They'll
peeps.
be fine. I mean,
you'll be good. You'll be good.
Yeah, you're good. You're good on that. They'll be a part of that. Don't worry about that. So they'll be fine.
I mean, that's good stuff,
the
man.
schools the schools like JMU is going to be the one that, they're a really good program from a financial standpoint. Can they really, do something like that? Probably not. And, like JMU, Tulane, to be honest with you, Wake Forest would be another one. Duke,
right?
Now Duke, now if you get into Duke, it's going to be basketball. What is the basketball version of that, and all that kind of stuff. So, there'll be some private institutions that would have to make that decision, what they want to do. But Virginia Tech will be fine.
Yeah, they'll be fine. You going fishing today?
Yeah, I'll probably go a little bit later, man. I got a couple more days. I got to be back. We got a meeting Friday. We start our camps we have a mega camp on Sunday, which what a mega camp means is we'll probably have 400 kids on campus. And we invite and it's really a good thing. In other words, like Oregon's coming, there's a couple SEC schools coming. Like, we'll have like 20 to 30 colleges there that you can evaluate the guys and they get their measurables, height, weight, all that kind of stuff. But to be honest with you, the guys that you look at aren't the guys coming out for next year. That's the thing that's changed in the camps, sequence now is there'll be some guys there that are, say, seniors to be getting ready to graduate that, hey, they slip through every now and then. You never know. But most of the ones that guys will have their eyes on in all these camps will be the guys that are sophomores and juniors to be, and you're looking at them as they grow up. And really what you're trying to do is get your eyes on them to see their height, weight, what their growth development is, how their movement skills are, and then you'll make those notes, and then you'll move that into the data on that guy, and then you'll watch them how they play in the fall, and then they'll be recruited the following year. So that's really the guys that end up being looked at majority of the time. The best evaluation is the 7-on-7 camps because you don't really got a coach, and the better players will come because they're playing with their teammates, and that way you can get a guy that's on the bubble, per se. Is he a power 4 guy or not? What's he play like? Well, if he's playing with his buddies and playing in their system, he'll play. So that even the camp stuff has really changed over the last few years, with early, a lot of the better players, for example, are taking official visits, so they're not going to come work out.
No, it's good stuff, man. Good stuff as always. Well, man, enjoy the rest of your time down at the lake house. I know you will.
Good deal. Y'all
all right, brother.
Care,
we'll catch up next week, man. You too, man. Good stuff.
You got it. See you. Bye-bye.
All right. How good is that, everybody, huh? Coach Grantham there. Great info, man. Great info. What a good show. I mean, you just sit here and you just learn. You hear all this and you just learn. Thanks to Keon. Thanks to Damian. Thanks to Coach Elmo and to Coach Grantham. Thanks to you in chat. All of our great sponsors, man. It's a fun. This is why this show's fun, because you learn lots of stuff. Morris, I saw you. So we got an answer about Prometheus. His wife, Cheyenne's about to go to surgery. So Prometheus, we're praying for you, thinking about you. Whenever you guys can, please update us. We miss you here the last couple of days. I hope everything's okay with you. And trust me, everybody here on the program, chat and text and everything else, we're all thinking about you. So best of luck. Best of luck. Prayers up to Prometheus and Cheyenne. Thanks to you, everybody. Terrific stuff. Tomorrow, I'm going to do the first hour And then I'll be heading over to Warm Hearth to spend the morning with Coach Franklin in the chamber. So we'll break all that down tomorrow, which means we'll have David Smith, and then we'll have to get off, and then we'll, just do what we have to do, right? Everybody take care. Enjoy your day. We'll see you tomorrow for the first hour. Take care, everybody. Slide over the hump as seamlessly as possible.